quick before I.
Okay,
before
I
do
hit
this.
streaming. Don't say anything bad.
God damn it.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Late.
You're the one who
Jaws,
did this.
Look at this, Jaws, which the viewer can't see.
Yes, which I also can't see.
Well, it's in general.
I can't
Oh,
see
okay,
shit. I don't know.
I mean, we don't have a general. What? Uh,
Yeah, is there
Okay.
is there a way to change the?
I don't even see your tweet on Twitter.
Oh, did Jaws tweet it and you're gonna? Okay, I don't know what's
No, I
happening.
did not.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Didn't you say you were gonna tweet it, Green?
What? Oh, I mean,
I thought I convinced you.
Oh, okay. I started to, but.
I was gonna share your tweet, but I don't see it. So
Okay, hold on. Let me.
Doth not exist.
Okay, well, you guys should start while I open Twitter illicitly.
Okay.
Okay.
Dungeon Meshi.
I'm gonna close this real quick because you people can't know my Twitter knowledge.
It is a show about dungeons and meshes.
Yes.
Yes, truth in advertising. It's what it says on the tin, which is
Yeah.
apropos for food.
It's weird.
Uh,
It's weird how
yeah,
you
it's
hear about
interesting that,
Dungeon Meshi and you think it's gonna be fucking horrible. Then you watch it, and it's okay. Then you watch it slightly longer, and it's the greatest thing you've ever seen.
That's true.
That's not
The
true.
author famously, well, we'll get to that. The author famously said a brick hit her on the head as she sat drawing it at the computer, and she stopped caring about like funny food antics and decided to write one of the hardest fantasy stories. And she was like, maybe I'll do this instead. Yes. So the
Put that to
legend.
Brick Hitter then, or him. Who wrote this?
It's a woman called Rumiko Takahashi. No.
I was for a moment. I was like, wait, that sounds
That
familiar.
explains the lesbian undertones.
It is written by Ryoko Kui. Written and drawn, of course. Yes.
Would have been Ryori because that means cooking.
Maybe. I mean, I doubt. I assume it's a pen name, as I usually do with mangaka. But yes, she is a pretty recent mangaka, all things considered. I mean, been working for the last like 13, 14 years.
That's not recent.
Well, it's recent in the grand scheme. I'm saying she's of the more recent mangaka generation, like like Tatsuki Fujimoto, and
Okay.
other
I just
examples.
Twittered myself, so feel free to give me a re-zeet.
Very well.
Oh, and I should probably turn the video back on. Okay. Yeah, nothing.
I
nothing
mean,
person. We have
Okay,
the what?
great.
the
You
black
better
screen.
be
We have
looking
the dungeon experience. The way
Yeah.
it was meant.
You better be looking at cool dungeon meshy images.
Yeah,
while
we
you're-
will. Feel free to send me some as well.
Well, I'm busy doing stuff.
Oh
as
right,
well.
you're drawing. Draw me a dungeon Meshi real quick.
No.
Next time you sell something,
I'm
I want a
not
Tade
serious.
sketch.
Okay, fine. I mean,
You're
I'm
all
all
obsessed with Tade.
Tade's fun.
Hey, I'm not. I just said it because of Green. She's not really my type, but I think she's funny.
I don't know if I'd call her my type. I don't know what type that would even like be.
Big
okay.
booby GF.
Yeah, just like absurdly gigantic.
Absurdly
GF.
big booby GF.
Yes,
I mean, I
GF,
think
giant.
I guess I can't
friend.
see from underneath the armor, but if the proportions are correct, then she must have.
I mean, they do pull the thing where her arms are actually weirdly thin for how big she is. They managed to make it endearing, though. Like, good for them.
True.
Yeah, there was a shot where Tade and the cat girl were talking to each other, and I remember saying to Michi, this is cheating. Because between the two of them, everyone is going to like at least one of them.
I did not expect the character of Izutsumi to be the way she is.
Yeah, I didn't
Like-
know what to expect either, and I wasn't expecting like the kind of
An
I mean,
antisocial.
well, yeah, I was gonna describe her in some way, like kind of bratty and stuff, but actually, she is kind of unique in a weird way, but it's like in an unexpected way where you're like, yeah, I'm not.
I mean, I've
It
seen
takes
that
a while to get behind
before.
her. Like in the manga,
I just didn't expect it.
in the manga, she improves a bit, but it's like very slight as compared to most of the other characters. Would you agree, Green?
I am.
I guess it's in keeping with
I mean,
her
yes.
being like. I am agree. I guess
Would you
it's
agree?
with her being like animalistic, so she doesn't change much her nature.
Yeah, she's like literally a feral monster.
Yeah, she kind of goes from being like hating them all to being like I kind of like them, but in the way a cat does, where it's like, well,
Yeah.
they're like they feed me, and I won't gouge their eyes out most of the time, unless it's Laios, because I know what that fucking freak is up to. But
We have a commenter.
we do. Wow, I can't
Yes.
tell. But yes, hello.
Of course, I'm filling a kettle with water when we get a commenter. I hope they didn't say anything
You're
bad.
filling a cat with water?
No, it's
Filling a
just-
cat with water.
Kettle.
I know. It was just so funny to pass up on.
Yes, all those comments are very true. Yeah, she's actually great. They managed to pitch her as just being like feral in like the simplest sense. Like she just cares about survival. She's not mean. She's just kind of selfish. To quote a book I just read, she's selfish in the way a man who had an eternal toothache would be selfish.
Yeah, I suppose. She it's kind of funny because like she acts like a cat in many ways, but then you're also like she also seems to be like very mistrusting and standoffish and like each for everyone for themselves because of her like circumstances and upbringing. So it's kind of a weird combination of her like being that way like because she's a cat, but also she was brought up to be like a cat, so she's doubly a cat. Like it's like
I found it interesting
yeah.
when we see her behavior shift to actual cat-like in the Golden City.
Oh yeah, yes, that's right. She was just lying on Marcel's lap the whole time. I love that scene when Laios is like, "Now's my chance," and he's gonna pet her on the head, and still doesn't let him, and he's like downtrodden. He's like in the corner staring at his hand, like, "Why me?"
I love that one.
Finally, a monster girl, and she hates me. Why?
It's small, but I like one of my favorite bonuses is when I put in how the character would sleep with everyone else.
Ah, yes, that's a great.
Like she'd sleep
like
across
idea,
Senshi's chest.
Yes, and she is like, oh, there's someone on my big belly. Get it off.
Laius, she would sleep head to toe, and then the Asian characters would just throw her out, apparently.
Yeah, yes.
Did anyone ever
Marcel
suffer more than Shuro?
Ruining her. Shuro is punished Shuro. Yeah.
Because Shuro
Yeah, Shuro's interesting because it seems like I'm convinced like she kind of brought him in like I don't think that's something that was planned from the start. I think a lot of stuff wasn't planned from the start. But it's fine because she made it work. Like I think initially Shuro I think Dwarf Girl probably was meant to show up later, but manga wise, I think Shuro was just like supposed to be like kind of a template class guy who just like left to just exemplify to them like, oh man, they're going against the odds here because their party used to be so much bigger and well equipped, and now they've lost like their two of their strongest fighters and their healer / paladin like / cleric, I mean. And I was like, I didn't expect Shuro to come back. Then she kind of recontextualized it to be like he left, but not because he didn't care. It's actually the opposite. He left to go bolster his forces because he loves Fallen. He's fallen in love with her.
Yeah, I was about to say the same.
Yeah. Also, it's funny how Fallen just shares a name with a dwarf from Lord of the Rings / The Hobbit.
Okay.
Very true.
Fallen and Balin, you know.
I feel so bad for Shuro because he doesn't have that much involvement in the plot, relative,
true.
in the scheme of things. But relative to how much he shows up, he has it worse than any other character.
He can't help but be a nice guy. Like, even when he's like, I'm leaving this fucking land forever and I'm gonna tell on you to the elves, he still is like, here's a bell. If you need it, ring it. If you need me, ring it.
He rings it. He rings it and throws
he
it
ends up
for the
getting-
door to get Izutsume
Yes.
through a door.
And in the manga later, he's like, God damn it, I haven't been able to get a wink of sleep because Laios keeps running around with my fucking bell and ringing it at all times of day. And I'm constantly annoyed by this fucking bell. God, I hate Laios so much. That's what he's thinking.
I'm actually a genius because when we were watching this and we were learning about how Shiro hates Laios because Laios is just so fucking annoying and inconvenient, I jumped in saying, oh my god, it's even worse than usual because it's not malicious in any way, so Shiro can't even be mad about it properly.
Yeah.
And then 30 seconds later, Shiro actually said that. I couldn't even get mad at you because I knew you didn't mean it. It was so bad.
I mean, even earlier, I think you predicted, like, when Laios was talking about Shiro and saying how, like, he would like listen to him tell tales and stuff, and they're good friends. You were like, oh man, I bet like you said something like I bet the other guy was just like annoyed or something, just like off the cuff. And then I was like hey, waiting for next episode.
I want to see if I can find it because I dropped it a while ago, but that screenshot is so great where it's the two different versions of Shiro talking to Laios, where it shows Shiro's Laios' vision. They're both these mature men who are having this somber Three Kingdoms-esque meeting with each other in their armor. And this Shiro's vision, Laios is just like yelling at the side of his head while Shiro wants to cry.
Yeah, Shiro's making like the Soul Eater face where it's like, ah. Yeah, I also there was a tiny little detail which was like when Shiro was saying like, you always show up at the worst times, like it shows like Laios showing up to like interrupt him trying to talk to Fallen, and you see two hands holding Laios from behind, and it's like it's Chilchuk and what's her name,
The dwarf girl.
The dwarf girl. Namari, both holding his shoulders, just being they're trying to stop him like, Laios, you fucking blockhead, don't interrupt, goddammit. It's so good. I mean, so many of the highlights are just how Laios is like one of the best written like representations of like just like a lightly autistic, like just like well-meaning guy who doesn't understand how he's just so like obtuse when it comes to anything like social or normally empathetic. Yeah, like he doesn't understand so many situations. It's so funny.
We
Like,
just have to eat all her dragon parts.
Yeah, they don't even hold it when it's like a dramatic scene. Like when Fallen shows up and she just killed like 2 retainers. Laios is like, she's so cool. Everyone's like, are you mad? She's fucking killing everyone. Like, this is the most your sister got turned into a horrifying monster, and you're like, awesome.
Yeah, and that scene was really good.
And on the off chance
great.
anyone cares, we're just talking anime, and then maybe we might talk manga more. We're avoiding major spoilers, although I'm not sure what that even means.
Yes. Me and Green have both watched the entire anime and read the entire manga afterwards. Jaws has only watched the anime, so we're trying not to spoil much stuff.
I was amazed at how much I ended up liking this show. I'm also amazed at how much Jaws did not.
Amazed by it. I feel also like, I mean, Jaws out of most people I know seems to change his views a lot on rewatches. I'm not saying you should rewatch it anytime soon. You probably won't, but I do wonder if you watched it again.
Worse on rewatch. Most of the time, it doesn't get better.
I've heard you a few times say some shows you were like,
yeah,
there was one recently where you mentioned that like the first time you watched it, you just kind of liked it a bit, and then like you watched it again and you actually ended up really liking it, like especially the early stuff. I forget what it was.
I forgot what it was.
But regardless, like I because I've watched this show like 3 times and not on purpose. Let me explain. I was watching the show with my girlfriend. Then I like paused around episode 7, which is where Jaws paused too, kind of. And I had been watching it weekly, and then a bunch of episodes came out, and then I was like, we had been like always like, we're gonna watch it sometime, and then my girlfriend's little sister came to stay over, and she'd been watching it, and she was like up to date with it, so I was like, oh damn, well let's watch. She likes watching the new Meshi, so let's catch up with her, and then I did catch up, and then I was like so like hyped because after the Fallen stuff that I like that I binged almost all the show on my own, and then ended up going to read the manga like the next day. So I ended up being ahead of everyone. And so I watched it like and then I watched like the episodes again with my girlfriend to catch her up, and then I watched the entire show again with Green. So I've watched like almost the entire show 3 times. And I will say the earlier stuff has a lot of stuff which is funnier and more interesting, and lots of like foreshadowing. Yeah, like there are a lot of like little hints and clues at weird things like early on. Like for example, there's a lot of like senshi lines and things which you're like, oh, I now understand, like I understand that more due to his backstory. There are weird things like like a tiny one is just like when Laios fucking barks that one time, and then at that point you probably forget that early on in the series when they showed Marcial and Fallen's school days.
I did remember that.
Okay, but like you might not have, especially if you're watching the show like weekly the first time I did, for example. Like there's a lot of like neat little touches like that where she keeps it very like consistent that way, and so it was enjoyable. Yeah,
What the fuck?
but I still agree that the early part of the show is obviously like is the weakest part. Jaws seems to like find it pretty like boring and maybe even bad. I just found like the initial part
not bad, but yeah, boring.
The initial part where it seems like more of a gimmicky where it seems more like a gimmicky joke show where it's like it has very light world building, but it's mostly focused on the food. It was like a 7 or something, and I was like, this is fine. It looks really nice. I enjoy the voice acting. I like the funnies. Then it just gets better and better, and I love like everything. I mean, I think from the Undyne onward, probably because that's one of the coolest fucking animation ever.
Yeah,
courtesy of Igarashi.
Yeah, and it's freaking Tade beats it up.
Fun scene. No, that's not the
Undyne.
No,
that's the other one.
Yeah, that's the sea serpent. Yeah, the Undyne shoots a laser beam through Marcial's like. Yeah. Also, can I say I enjoy so much how violent this show is. Like it catches you off guard because like it's totally in compliance with like how it isn't afraid of talking about like the gross innards of creatures. Like constantly they're skinning things, they're breaking things bones, they're spilling things bowels, and
I think
the humans
saw
are just
colon at one point.
Like humans fucking humans just
from the
get,
dragon,
like bashed in the head and their skulls cracked open and arms ripped off. When fucking Kabru jumps on Fallen's back and fucking slices her throat and stabs her all
4 times.
that goes so fucking hard, and I feel like it goes especially like it feels so much more impactful because you're used to being in this like, I'm not gonna say it's like Madoka and you're eating tea and crumpets and then suddenly someone's head gets bit off, but it's like you're kind of lulled into like a relaxed sense. Everyone's just going on a fun adventure and then someone gets like fucking strangled or decapitated and you're like, oh shit, like that just fucking happened.
Yeah, easily one of my favorite aspects of this show is how it handles death, where they found a way to have characters die constantly and have death be a genuine threat, but without it feeling super cheap. You know, it's not...
Yeah. It's still dramatic when it happens because it's like, this is just bad for everyone because like we're losing party members and we're all going to get fucking killed.
And there's always a chance that death can be permanent. It's just it usually is not.
Depending on how you die and where you die. Yeah.
That was very clever because it's not like the one end of the spectrum where characters are, you know, constantly dodging things that should kill them because of plot armor, or the other spectrum, which is like, I don't know, Dragon Ball Z, where death is just this revolving door and no one gives a fuck.
Like many ways for your body. Even a small one is like just when they drop past the dragon fight and they're like in that room that's squishing them. Like that is like a silly kind of thing. But then when Marcel just mentions that like no one will find their bodies if they get crushed underground, you're like, oh shit, that's right. Like this is probably more dangerous than a dragon because like getting stomped by a dragon is fine as long as dudes come along and grab your corpse.
And EC said it's like a really hard D&D campaign brought to life, and the revival. He likes the revival mechanic. Yes, the hardest D&D campaign ever.
It's also interesting how there are like economies that sprout around revival. There's dudes who go around reviving people for a fee. There's like the government actively incentivizes you to bring back corpses and rewards you for it because they don't want adventurers dying because then they'll have less people going down into the dungeon and making commerce. Like, it's very clever.
And then people who retrieve corpses, of course, have an incentive to have people die all the time.
Yeah,
like
when
that dude tries to make a deal with Cabro to kill half of the of their own party, like you're like, well, it isn't. I didn't think Cabro was gonna do it, but like I was like, it isn't insane actually, because it's like, hey, it's a living. But then, of course, he does fucking murder them all.
Speaking of Cabru is
a bit of a psychopath.
Cabru is a great character because he's so similar to Laios while being so different. Where they're both off, like they're both socially weird people who are kind of sociopaths, but like Cabru is like he's extremely emotional and he's extremely like conversational and he's very in tune with people's emotions. He's just a manipulative psychopath. And then you have Laios, who is basically a nice guy, but just so oblivious. He really is an amazing character.
A lot of it is upbringing, because it's like Cabra went through an extremely traumatic event early on in his life, whereas not Laios obviously had like plenty of hardships in his life, but he never went through anything like that. Like a lot of sadness in Laios's life is just that he didn't do things or that he gave up on stuff. Like he kind of just wandered from place to place. Like he went to like he didn't get along with people at school. He tried joining the army for a bit, but he kind of just got like ostracized and bullied a bit. He got even taken advantage of when he started being an adventurer. Like he's had a much easier life than Cabra. So Cabra has like much more empathy for death and destruction, whereas like Laios is like, oh yeah, that's like bad, obviously, that kind of sucks, but he's not really like he's very uninterested in the ultimate fate of people on the island, things like that.
Yeah, interested is a great word because Laios' whole thing is like he's nice, he's reflexively nice in the moment. He just doesn't. He's not interested in human beings.
No. Yeah, like I love
Laios. Let me count her nipples totem.
Oh God.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great thing. I love how he's just blindfolded the whole time. Like he's eating blindfolded.
And he's shrieking. I will say, when they had that scene with Izutsumi where she's only wearing shorts, I think, because fur covers her chest.
Panties, dude.
She's wearing what's it called?
It's like a
fundoshi. A fundoshi.
Yeah, but it has like a little bow on the front and everything. Like they look. It looks like a little thong.
Yeah, I was also captivated by the rare instances of underwear in this. Like you see Senshi's underwear over and over and over again, and I keep thinking like, how does that work? Like, how does he tie it?
Yeah. And the only time you see Marcille's kind of is just she has this like kind of short bloomers for one scene where she has to run out of bed. Like it's
or when she turns to stone and Laios is generous enough to not command her to take her underwear off.
Yeah.
That was a good scene though because it did establish like the trust between them. Like, Laios can just yell, take your pants off quick, and she'll do it without thinking.
She didn't have a large skirt over it, to be fair. If she wasn't just like, remove thine underwear.
Okay, fine. It was really cool. I was going to say, with Izu, I'm afraid to even type anything in because I don't know what I'll get, but with Izutsumi having the exposed chest, but hair covers it, the author was kind of taking the piss there because she goes like, it's not like anyone would care to see this. And in my head, I'm thinking like, there would be a lot of guys. They might not admit it. I feel like there'd be a lot of people into that.
Yeah, she does that trick kind of again, like when Fallen takes her top off and Shuro blushes. And then you're like, oh, it's gonna be a bait and switch. It really isn't, because it's like, yeah, okay, she has a bit of feathery crop on top of them, but you still get a lot of like under boob. Like she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Uh,
This show was
yeah.
really smart with smuggling in sex appeal in like the most subtle
Yes.
of ways, where you couldn't
Yeah.
call this an ecchi by any stretch of the imagination, but
No.
there's like a little something for everyone.
It's true. I mean, the bath scene is really unexpected, because like you don't like it almost like passes you by without you noticing it, because you just went through like one of the most bizarre sequences where it's like you're still like PTSD'd about them having just reconstructed fallen skeleton and fucking performed black magic, that you're like, they're just having this like little tub scene and you're just like, wait, what just happened? Is this okay? Like,
Yeah.
is everything really fine? Just like this, they just resolved it, like, because they wait so long to drop the other shoe on that.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you're half expecting her to just be like evil and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then poor
and then poor.
our poor guy is just spurging the fuck out. It still makes
I
me
love-
laugh.
I get, it's weird how like, yeah, they'll have like funny things in the middle of dramatic things and dramatic things in the middle of funny things. Like even in that dramatic scene where like Thistle is like taking Fallon and she's spazzing out and all this scary stuff is happening, they just have the gall to have the little rolls of ham fucking rolling into the puddle with like the silly title over them, and she's just like, oh no, my meat. It's like, we got bigger problems here. But
it's kind of
actually
creepy
ended
to
up-
just see the ham roll into this.
yeah, I know it is, and that actually ends up serving a purpose, because that's what tips them off.
Yeah.
To like how the kind of mechanic works. Like constantly, Laios and Senshi will, like, just objectively notice things which most people wouldn't be even thinking about. Like it happens with Kabru too. Like Kabru, when he stabs her all over, he's just thinking like, I want to kill her right now. Like he's not analyzing it. But Laios sees someone viciously attack his sister. And like while he's partly conflicted for sure. Like I'm not saying he's an emotionless monster, but at the same time, a part of his brain is registering the fact that she can't be killed with her top parts vital organs. Like it's very interesting how he gleams technology out of noticing the weirdest things in creatures and people and mechanics, where he's just like, oh, I noticed that this thing happened. And
Yeah,
it's like,
he notices
everyone
with
else
the
is paying
frogs.
attention to the dramatic things. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's a few scenes in here, I mean, especially later, where people straight up have to murder their friends for the purposes of saving them.
Yes.
Imagine
true.
having that relationship.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of Dr. Stone-ish in a way. Like, in the killing someone and then reviving them is easier than sometimes curing them of poison or getting them out of the grip of a monster. Sometimes, you know.
I do know.
Because in Dr. Stone, like a lot of time once they massive spoilers. Once they have like access to petrifying technology, they kind of just use that because they're like, well, it cures all diseases and wounds. You just need the antidote. Like it's really useful actually to petrify people. Yes.
Yeah, this show has an incredible tone. It does a great job of having legitimately dark things that people respond to seriously without it just becoming drab, and like it always kind of is in the middle. Like there's always something funny going on, there's always something cute going on, there's always something really scary going on.
Yeah. Like
I think that might be one of the reasons why I don't like it as much. I think I prefer
something more
tone to be the tone to be on either one of the sides instead of sort of
that's understandable.
either switching or being in the middle.
I feel like a lot of the reason me and Green enjoy it is probably because of the novelty. Like it scratches this show / manga scratches a very particular itch for me I never knew I had for such like weirdly, I'm not talking about whether stuff is good or bad, but just like stuff you don't see anywhere else really. Like there's a lot of scenes, characters, and story beats which I've never encountered in other stories here. I'm not saying the whole thing is like the most original thing I've ever fucking heard, but like what it does, especially in a fantasy setting, it does so many like interesting little moves and tricks which which I kind of feel like is a strength of someone who's more of an outsider and influenced by a lot of different things, could kind of pull out of the medium in a way where like straight fantasy fans and things like that just can't do.
I mean,
I
also,
was with the undying people in the Golden City. I was very much reminded of Hoseki no Kuni, which does something similar.
I was not, but that's fair, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's glimpses of a lot of like different things which I already enjoy in here. Like, yeah, I mean, the whole time there's like a tiny bit of a Made in Abyss kind of
Yeah,
vibe.
a little
Oh,
bit.
Some
yeah.
of the things.
I mean, the levels of going downward, especially.
Yes,
Wait,
not that that's unique or original to Made in Abyss.
Did we
but,
figure out with time frame whether Made in Abyss could have been an influence? I don't remember if we talked about that.
I mean, I think Made in Abyss came out earlier.
I imagined it. I mean, I knew about Made in Abyss for years and years and years before.
2014.
Okay.
Dungeon Meshi started in 2014. Made in Abyss started in, I want to say it was like 2012, right? Yeah, 2012. I was right.
Okay. Well, maybe there's a chance for some influence.
It's possible.
It also seems like Dungeon
It seems
Meshi
like
was
something
a
the author
cult.
wouldn't like, to be fair, unless the halfling scene was like a dog whistle. But
yeah, which is another example of very, very lightheartedly sliding in, like cuteness and sexy appeal in a way that like even getting questioned, like even fixating on it is just like silly. Like it's having the characters randomly swap races at one point is just such a funny idea.
Also, this isn't spoilers at all, but like on their travels later, it's just like 2 pages. They also show that Mithrin and Kabru got swapped, and it's really funny because Mithrin gets swapped to just being a human, a tall man, and he's like incredibly ripped. Like he looks like Jotaro. And you're like, oh, for an elf, he's like really strong. That kind of makes sense. Like he has like a really buff chin, and he's like 2 meters tall. It's so stupid.
They basically established that Chilchuck is like the tall man, or he's the little guy equivalent of being like 6'5".
Oh yeah, well that was like the joke the whole show. Is like he's 27, right, or 29? 29.
I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
he's like 28, 29, and yeah. So when he becomes a tall man, he just has this 5 o'clock shadow, and he looks really weird.
Yeah, he's actually by far the oldest one relative to his lifespan. Or poor Marcille. I feel sad for her.
Poor Marcille. Hey, wait, that's spoilers.
Okay, that's barely spoilers.
Okay, fine.
Okay, Marcille is maybe insecure about how her lifespan stacks up to other people. Wouldn't we all be that way?
In fact, you could say that the big dream, where it's a bunch of different species all congealed, which make people turn really old and die, and take everyone from her, could be, some form of her fear of everyone dying.
Wow. Now who's fucking around? Damn.
Oh, yeah, because everyone was waiting with bated breath. What did that dream mean the whole time?
I mean, I won't get into it.
In the episode with him turning old. Come on.
I mean, I totally called out the hints to her backstory that were in there. I mean, I shouldn't be too proud of that because I think most people probably got that by the end. But you were very impressed in the moment with how quick I was.
I was. I mean, I didn't expect you to be paying attention to the background paintings because most people in that scene wouldn't be. Also great punchline that she's like, a big doggo defended me.
Yeah.
He's like, I was a wolf, damn it.
Oh, and EC said, I think the story is strong with its attention to detail. I like stories that are almost autistic. Yeah, the concrete details of this are great.
Totally.
Like it can be very dangerous with stories because if a story gets too hung up on explaining things, especially if they don't do it particularly well, it can really pull you out. It gets really boring. It's like, oh fuck, we have to watch the author's fan fiction about their own fucking story where they explain how every little thing works. This was actually great. They give you just enough of like how things work and enough little details without letting it derail the like emotions of the moment. I think actually the ending is great. I just finished the manga today. The ending is still great. I think the strongest stretch of the manga or of the story is probably when the gimmicky food stuff still has a very strong presence. but the story itself and the characters' backstories are heating up and becoming more important. That middle
Which
stretch
stretch
is
would you say then?
probably
Like from where to where?
honestly, Marcial's dream would probably be like the official beginning of it, but the really for me the story started heating up with the Living Armor episode. That's when I really got into the show because that was just so clever. Like the idea that they turned Living Armor into
That is the first like clever monster food subversion, because until that's pretty straightforward. It's like, yeah, you can cook mushrooms and chickens. Yeah, we know.
I mean,
Yeah.
for me, the first good episode was the Undine episode because we got parts of Marcial's backstory, which just elevated her from least favorite character to pretty damn good.
Oh, Marcial's great.
Yes, she is.
I was surprised because her character seems like a good delivery on something pretty standard. It's just like, oh, somewhat bratty elf who's not the most competent. We get it. You know, it's fine.
A lot is brought out by the characters seeming very archetypal at the start. Like and one by one the facade kind of falls in that. Like Laios is the first to go, obviously, because you're like, oh, this guy is smiley, friendly, generic nightman. And then within minutes you're like, oh, this guy is fucking nuts. And then the last ones are like Chilchuk and Senshi. Chilchuk gets more stuff earlier on with his like fear of mimics and his like kind of having to give a bit of ground to Senshi. Like he slowly gets eroded. Like he lets them use his fucking tools to eat crab. He uses traps to cook shit. And then Senshi is like, they wait way long for that. Like it's like at the end of the animated.
Yeah,
what's been animated for them to even give us anything about him. And that's funny because like when characters started questioning stuff about him, Green was also like, oh yeah, I never questioned stuff about Senshi because he just seems always so matter of fact about everything. When they start being like, how old is he and why does he know all this stuff and why is he so like adamant about few things? Why does he have such kitted out gear and things like that?
Senshi's
you're like, oh,
fucking Fupa, god damn it.
but like when you initially see them, you're like, well, these guys are falling into very like classic things of like of what their character designs lead you to think.
I mean, I would have preferred it if they had not started out as archetypal.
I mean, I'm still not sure which part of it is true. Like which part I don't want to seem like I think the mangaka like isn't amazing. I totally think she is, but I do. Looking at the artwork and like a few of the promotional things and like early on in the manga, I kind of feel like she kind of set out to just be like stock characters are fine for now because the concept itself has legs and is funny. Like just the idea of cooking food in
it
and
does
then I feel like she
she
herself was like, I kind of grown. Yeah, I feel like she kind of wanted to do something more both with the characters and the story at a certain point, and she didn't really have to retcon anything because there was
so little, basically.
That was
established.
I agree. Yeah, like the painting is where you start to get the first glimpses of a story, and even then, it's pretty like. At the time, you're just like, okay, like, that seems like something important, but was that just like a one-off funny villain for the painting? I mean, you don't know.
Yeah, I have no fucking clue how.
Like his name, I think the name of the guy only gets mentioned in like one of the very last episodes. Like basically, when they reach the golden city.
Yeah,
that's when we only get his name.
Thistle has a weird, kind of a weird dynamic where I'm not talking about the character later on in the manga. Like you'll get plenty of interesting stuff about them. I just mean like. Mechanically, like they're kind of just like running around the place and they can just totally show up. Like they seem like there should be like a final boss which should be hidden at the very end, but then like just after they leave the Golden City, Thistle's just there like what up? I can just appear anywhere because I'm a dungeon lord. Like I can appear wherever the fuck I want.
And we won't say who just yet, but Thistle has like that very distinctive look on their face, like the slightly desperate, crazed, like gleeful stare they give people. Later in the story, much later, when another character is, giving in to temptation, and they have that character do Thistle's face, that might be one of my favorite panels in the whole manga. That's amazing.
It is.
Also, hope it gets animated. Who knows?
I mean,
isn't the second season?
already announced.
announce.
Okay, no one said you had to know things, Jaws.
I totally assume they will cover the rest of it because the half that's left is shorter than the half they did cover. So
also, I totally
Only by,
lost
like,
count of the
3
chapters.
episodes. Yeah, 3 chapters or so. It's like, I think the first season ends on like chapter 52 or something, and
Yes,
it's like
correct.
what, 97 chapters?
Exactly.
Well,
You got both numbers exactly right. So yeah,
Damn.
there's 40,
hooray, memory.
there's 45 chapters left to adapt. So it should be fine for. It doesn't even need to be 24 episodes, though, if they want to like stretch it out.
And
to
they
I don't know if they cut. I'm not sure if they cut. Yeah, I'm not sure if they cut anything. Like, because when I skipped from like the anime into the manga, I didn't go back. I did for a bit, like just skim a few things, but I was like, well, this pretty much just seems like broadly equally faithful, and like the artwork in the early bits isn't as nice as the rest of the manga, which I really like. So I was just like, I'm fine with just continuing it from here. Like, I don't think I'm missing much. Yeah, so yeah, they could do 24 for around 48 would be perfect.
I actually totally lost count. Michi can confirm. Maybe because the manga just went by so quick, but I thought that it had only been like 30 chapters after it, and I was like, oh, maybe they'll make it a movie, and you're like, no.
Yeah, I was like, no, maybe the very last arc, like the everything after the Fallen, but
I really don't like the trend of doing adaptations in terms of
the
movies.
movie. I mean, I like I like Dawn of the Deep Soul.
I mean, okay, yeah, that one is good. But
the Konosuba movie, they've only done it like 3 times.
Attack on Titan.
They're gonna do Chainsaw Man now too.
Yeah, Chainsaw Man will be one. They did it for Fate, Heaven's Feel.
I'm with Jaws generally. I think manga in general is better service.
IQ, they did it as well, and apparently they cut they probably cut a quite a bit of stuff from the Haikyuu thing. For me personally, I just like watching it in episodes instead of having to watch one whole movie at once.
It has to be a kind of shorter, self-contained arc for it to work.
Yeah.
Like Made in Abyss works. Cardcaptor Sakura, the second film, I believe is based on a part of the manga, which is just like a kind of a sort of like middling length arc, which works well as a movie. You need to know how to pick it, but yeah, I like whenever I hear something is getting adapted into a series of films, I'm always like less interested. Like it was silly to try and do that with Berserk.
I just want 24-minute episodes.
Yeah, I want
and also 24 of them.
But I also want openings and endings. Not that movies can't have those, but they're not. It doesn't have the same feeling.
Speaking of which, the first opening where it felt like such a letdown, I will say it definitely grew on me over time. It's nowhere near as good as the second opening.
Yeah.
Once you get the
neither of them is amazing, really.
Like once you know the characters, the first opening's not as bad. I mean, it being Bump of Chicken doesn't help.
It being Bump of Chicken, being a bunch of
that was the most fitting thing that they used Bump of Chicken for a.
Well, they should have gone with Bowling Soup, really.
Yeah.
Sure.
No.
Okay, well, let's think. How many food bands are there?
But...
Corn!
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, damn it, that's a good one. Black Eyed Peas.
Chili Peppers, I said.
Red
Hot Chili Peppers, Fish.
Fish, oh, damn. That's so good.
Captain Beefhearts.
Isn't there like a cannibal band? That kind of works.
Kind of.
It's Cannibal something?
Do you think a Cannibal Holocaust of film?
No. There's a band that has cannibal in the name.
Probably. I don't know.
Cannibal Corpse is the name of.
Okay, see, someone knew.
Okay. There's got to be more. I can't think of.
Yeah, there's probably a lot more.
There's probably a lot more.
I'm not thinking of a band. I'm thinking of a song.
Oh, the Spice Girls.
Oh, that's a stretch.
It is. Pearl Jam. That would fit with this story.
Well, you can just say the Jam too.
Yeah. Weens.
The
Monkees in some countries.
Okay.
Wings. The Beatles.
Yeah. It's just everything that can be eaten.
Everything that can be. Well, that's Dungeon Meshi.
Okay.
Cream's pretty clever.
Hell yeah. Well, okay, we've established that. Yeah, what
Okay,
else
that's
is good in
super.
the show?
Playing
Or
default
bad?
mode.
Okay, people.
Not bad.
I have had just civilians pop up there before. I need to learn how to make that stop happening. Yep.
Civilians. Well,
Yes.
that wasn't a civilian.
Civilians. Yeah, casualties, as I call them.
Yeah. Keyword casual.
Hey.
Hey, boo.
Man,
okay. Things
Yeah.
that are not the fault of the story or the mangaka. It's just I don't particularly like the direction and the music choice. I mean, there was like one music track which caught me off guard because it was
The one
actually
when
good.
Fallen shows up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was a standout to me too. I will say, yeah, I agree with you because I feel like most of the music, I just didn't notice it. Like,
yeah, exactly. You don't notice.
Like it was very unmemorable, which is like, it's not the worst thing. Like some people would even say like the point of a soundtrack is to kind of be like unnoticed in a way, but like, yeah, I much prefer when I come out of a show with a soundtrack. I can just listen
it
to
enhances because with the Fallon scene, it enhances the scene, and
totally
that could have been done with a lot of more scenes, but that's just not the soundtrack that the show uses.
Yeah, like it has a good direction in general. Like it has stuff that isn't in the manga. Like I'm sure in the manga there was a close up of the claw, but like adding the little detail of it, like tapping on the tile and the little sound. Like I like that. I've watched that scene like plenty of times.
Yeah, I don't want to be insulting, but I think Jaws is out of his fucking mind. I think the directing is really good. The music, I didn't notice it so much. Like I remember it being good. I just didn't care that much.
I'm not a fan so much of the direction as the animation in general was just like very high bar, and then occasionally there were just some fucking great Sakuga moments. Like
yeah, it has good
killer
moments here and there where it's animated well. But in terms of direction, it's just relatively flat and uninteresting to me. Like the shot compositions, angles, and stuff like that.
You're probably right. I feel like
and I'm also not. I mean, I also
adaptation, like they're adapting panels where it's just the character's head. Not an excuse, but just
yeah. But if you like, for instance, like I love the direction of the Chainsaw Man anime, and if you were to compare that to the manga, it's like different. So
it is. You're right.
Yeah. What was I about to say? Right. Also, that's like more of a taste thing, and not once again not a fault of the anime. But I'm not a big fan of the art style, and in the anime also not the colors. Like I don't like overly bright stuff, I think. Other than if it's like super stylized, like Monogatari or something, where you have like Shaft stuff, where it's like super high contrast. But I don't like the sort of generic, it's colorful stuff. Like it's not my thing.
Get that. I actually quite like the color palette. I do have what you're describing, but I normally have it with other shows. Like I have that a lot with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Brotherhood actually, I think does it pretty well.
As it's such
more muted.
I think it's a good looking show in most regards, but I don't think it's muted at all. Like I think the first part of the series there is like glaring fucking light blue sky all the time. Whenever they go to Risenbul, it is like the closest shade of green they could have before turning to fucking like cabbage.
Like the biggest offender that I can think of is like My Hero Academia.
I think also I definitely feel that with FMA Brotherhood because I've watched 2003, and like that's the only thing 2003 has over Brotherhood is it just looks better like at various points because of the colors being like really nice, like dark crimsons and like harsh shadows on everything. Like it has a very nice dour look to it, which I think fits the story better than the kind of poppy look. People have said that a lot about Hunter x Hunter, the new one compared to the old one. I actually don't mind Hunter x Hunter because
for Hunter x Hunter
it's
kind
of so in your face and shiny that you're like everything has like lots of like glare on it and stuff like that, and I appreciate it. And also Hunter x Hunter is very bright when it's bright, but when it's dark it's also pretty.
Exactly.
Like, it goes hard on every palette it goes into. Yeah.
It's similar to more similar to the high contrast of like Shaft stuff. So.
Or even exactly Monogatari. Like it reminds me of that. Like Monogatari is also very shiny. Everyone's eyes are fucking. You can almost see the fucking sun glare shoot off of them. I totally get both of those complaints with Dungeon Meshi. Honestly, they're not things I'm gonna like they're not my favorite parts of the show. Like I was never gonna be like, oh man, I love the directing and the colors in this. Like I think the character designs are really strong. Like the more you're stuck with them, because like early on,
they're pretty different from one another. That's like
she's great at body types and variety,
silhouettes. And every character's
silhouettes is very strong, and I love the. I mean, I probably love them especially now more because I've like seen all the art books so many times, and I'm like, these characters just like are so useful for so many things. Like you can put them in different clothes and they all still work great. Like you can fuck around with them with the colors. It kind of also is really strong for when they do the race changes, because it allows that to go well. Like if there were a couple similar looking characters and they did the swap, you'd be a bit confused for a second. You'd be like, oh, who's who? And also they flip it on its head a bit with the doppelgangers episode. So like, have you been paying attention to the character designs? And that's honestly tricky. Like the first time around, I was like, the only reason I knew which one was the Marcel the second time watching it with Green is because I had pointed out that she was wearing twin tails earlier in the episode. So then when it came to the bit, I was like, well, she's the one with twin tails. The two Chilchucks, it's pretty tough. Like unless you've paid attention to the hair, to the whirlwind in the hair.
And Laios comes in clutch with the Chilchucks because he notices a character thing that's actually very vital.
He does that
everyone else missed.
Well, that's the joke. It's like Laios doesn't remember people at all. In fact, most of the shitty versions are from Laios's terrible memory. Also, that is such a fucking funny joke where, like, the whole episode, you're like, is no one going to mention that one of the Senshis is, like, really...
it's like Chad Senshi.
Yeah, like, and then Marcel points it out, and everyone else is like, Senshi is always cool.
Laios just sees Senshi as the coolest fucking dude.
Chilchuck, they're like, oh yes, Senshi is a cool dude. And, like, meanwhile, they're like, oh, who's that guy? Is that like an offensive caricature of a dwarf? It's like, god damn it, no, that's how I look.
I think we called him like Giga Shenshi while we were watching the episode.
Yes, Giga. Yeah. I also love the implication. They don't spell it out, but that like ugly, like lipstick Marcel was totally Senshi's like interpretation. Like, there's no fucking way. That's totally how dwarves see elves.
I didn't even think that. I thought that might have been Chilchuck seeing. I thought of it as Chilchuck because like halflings look like children, like they're very neotenous. So every other race probably looks absurdly adult to them. I assumed it was Chilchuck.
No, I'm definitely sure it was Senshi's. Like, to me, that makes way more sense because Senshi is so like, it's just so. Dwarves are always like single-minded. That's like their joke. And he's so interested in food and stuff, you probably would never even notice much what Marcel looks like. Like the other version of Marcel is like almost perfect recall. Like. Yeah. The one with the shitty book, that's Laios's probably, because he doesn't know jack shit about magic. Like, Chilchuck would be more observant and probably remember stuff about Marcel better. I think the two ones are the real Marcel and Chilchuck's Marcel.
I'm having a hard time bringing this up. It was very funny, with the Laioses, like, one of the Laioses is just like brain dead and stupid looking. And the Giga Chad Laios, the one who's like 7 feet tall with the stubble. Someone brought up. Someone made the joke saying like, you assume that's like Chilchuck's because Laios is so much bigger than Chilchuck. It would be hilarious if that was Marcel.
Yes.
Is that what you thought?
Also, no, I thought it was Chilchuck's from the start. I think Marcel's ones, in my mind, are easy to tell because they're slightly cutesier. Because, especially later on in the manga, as we learn, she has a very, like, flowery, girly view of everything. It makes sense that her Chilchuck is the one who like, has, like, rosier cheeks and bigger eyes. Her Senshi is, like, almost the same, but, like, a bit goofier and rounder. And her Laios is just, like, the simplistic, kind of dumb one where he's just like, let's cook monsters, let's do it. Like, he's just like this, it's just like a dog. Like, those are hers for me, I think. They're all like very smiley and happy.
Oh, god damn it, I turned my fucking mic off.
Oh, really?
No, I still heard you. I just was trying to interrupt you and wondering why you weren't obeying my commands.
Yes, as always. Also leads up to a really funny joke later in the manga, which is not spoilers at all, because the whole joke is like Kabru and Mithran are on the heels of the gang. So they go through a lot of the same areas, and when they get they just get one doppelganger, and it's Mithran's vision of Kabru, and it's like a child's crayon drawing. Like he it's the word. Like he has paid so little attention to Kabru that it's like, what the fuck is that? Like there's no question.
I liked when Marcel created her familiar, and it just reminded me of Poon Poon. Like I almost took like a screenshot of it and was going to call it like Oyasumi sausage Poon or something.
I mean, I keep saying like that's a great moment because there's so many great moments. Like that's love Laios's fucking disappointment. I love when she fucking crushes the head of his dragon to make the fucking sky fish. Just like, my fucking double-headed dragon. Yeah, he was expecting something really cool, but it's like, yeah, this was made like on a fucking shoestring budget out of fucking food. Yeah, its only purpose is to fly and see.
I do find it funny how Marciel's like she's like not the best at creative stuff so much, I guess, and like she eventually makes a hot dog with wings.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked. It definitely worked.
Yeah.
It worked describes everything Marcel does, for good or for ill.
Yes, that's definitely true. Yes.
The Changeling episode was... Oh, wait, keep going.
I was just gonna say, how great is it, like, talking about shit season, how great is it that Laios just thought someone wouldn't understand them using black magic?
Wait, what?
Like he said it to Shuro, expecting
that he would not
him to understand anyone. And not flip out. Well, then just that he wouldn't try and fucking murder him, because it's like, what?
Yeah.
You fucking took my beloved and used evil magic on it. It's like he just said it like casually, just like, oh, we have to use a little bit of black magic.
Everything.
Yeah. Puts fist on head, sticks tongue out.
Yeah, the great part of that is like Laios is so socially inept, he doesn't realize Shuro's response is like, even if that's fucking true, why would you tell me? It only makes things harder for me now that I know that.
Yes, and also like at the end he does kind of get a little gut punch in there where he's like, it's the only way, like we had to do it, and Shuro finds himself like, fuck, I probably would have said yes if someone had proposed it to me, like if I'd had the chance too. So fair is fair, but he would have had much more conflict about doing it than Laios did. Like as soon as the suggestion came up, Laios was like, hey, let's do that, and he was like happily like assembling the skeleton. Shuro would have been like, oh god, like crying and holding back like his rage and being like, oh, I really don't want to have to do this, but I have to. Laios was just like, oh, that's cool, we have a way, cool.
What Laios does and does not care about, it's very arbitrary and always written in stone.
Yeah, yes, that's absolutely true.
I kind of not quite understand the love for Laios as much as people like.
Oh my god!
No,
when
no,
have you ever seen a character whose like spurginess is that well portrayed and interesting?
I will say this is very funny. Part of this might just be you not relating, because read every panel of the manga. He's literally me, like sending me screenshots, being like, "Oh my god, I've had this situation so many times." So
yeah. Oh, I actually can just
maybe you just don't have as much experience with people like that to just be like, "This is."
I mean, shouldn't I be like that or something?
Well, if you are, maybe you're so like that you don't understand.
Yeah, true. Sure.
I mean, I don't. It just leads to so many jokes, because it goes from being like something that's kind of funny about him to becoming an active, like it's an active, important element in the story that Laios is like this, because people are probably going to die because of this, and characters being able to understand him and like communicate with him in a way which he'll understand and try and persuade him becomes deathly important, like very quickly. So it's very funny, and also it's Green during watching the show said he likes how the show acknowledges that only like autistic or insane people ever actually change the world around them.
Yeah.
Because Laios is perfectly poised to be instrumental in something because of his unique set of circumstances.
It's like that quote, reasonable men conform to what society wants from them, and therefore all progress is driven by unreasonable men.
Yeah. Like compared to him, for as a nice guy and cool Shuro is, he's massively uninteresting when compared to Laius.
Sure, true.
Same way, yeah.
It almost feels like Kabru is more the main character archetype than Laios is.
For sure, yeah.
That's
like
fair.
He's meant to be the main character of a story. He's like, Kabru reminds me of like Light from Death Note.
Yes.
Like, if he was good. Like I mean, it is funny. And it's kind of a, but I let it slip that he just reverse engineers the entire plot out of like almost no evidence. Like that's definitely like a let's catch them up without having them meet moment. But it wasn't insane. And yeah, like he is just very goal driven. But it is interesting how he has a little human. He has like the empathy core, which lets him almost fanboy at meeting Laios, where he's like blushing and he doesn't care that the people like he doesn't give a shit that they might have robbed them, because he's just like, we met him and I was like looking forward to this. Also, did they reveal that in the anime or was it in the manga that
Wait, what?
Was it in the manga or the anime that Kabro had at various points tried to engage in conversation with Laios and just had been ignored because Laios is...
I don't know how explicit it is, but they established that pretty early.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely not a spoiler or anything. Yeah, I mean, I won't say just about Laios. I won't say I relate to him like totally. Like there are important differences between me and Laios.
But
the ways I am similar to him did jump out at me because I'm the exact same way about people. Like I will almost always like help someone in a pinch, but I just cannot be bothered to remember anything about anyone other than myself. and so like I'm in this I am in that also in that like limbo of like I'm an objectively like generous, helpful person, but just like it's hard to have a relationship with me because I'm just so in my own world. I can't lie for shit. And no spoilers,
Giles
but
doesn't know that yet.
I mean, it's not that big a spoiler, but like later in the manga, when he has to lie and he looks off, I actually have it on the screen where he looks off to the side and says, "Nope, can't say that we have."
And then there's like a reaction shot of every other character being like, both the canaries and the rest of his parties being, "He's a terrible liar."
Yeah, and,
like,
and Kabru just looks on in fucking horror.
Yeah.
I don't think Shuro was there, but Shuro would have like had no faith he could lie in the first place. Yes. Like he would have known.
Kabro is close to being one of the most punished also because he's just racked constantly by his enormous brain. And he's just like, I fucking knew it constantly. And he's like the only person worrying. Like other people either don't understand or don't care how bad this is. He totally understands Laios, and it is like the biggest burden a human could handle.
Yeah, Kabru,
poor man.
Kabru's in a bad position too because like his talent massively outstrips his social position. So because
also his ability,
yeah,
like, he's very smart, but he's not that strong. Like he can't tank a dungeon. He can't take on a dragon.
I like that it was established that he sucks fighting against monsters, but he could like murder every human basically.
Totally...
he could beat Laius in a fight probably. And Laius is no good against people, but Laius can destroy any monster just through sheer guile and autism.
And stuff. Yeah, he'll just bark at them like a dog till they.
Yeah, it worked.
But it sucks to be Kabru because Kabru is he's always right, but no one values his opinion. So he spends a lot of the story screaming at the side of people's heads.
Oh my god!
While they're
he's like
looking...
Magi-chan in fucking. In Sonichu, like he keeps telling people the world is gonna end and that he knows this is gonna happen. Everyone's like, shut the fuck up, and they do it anyway. And he's like, why? Why would anyone listen?
And the actual authority figures are all incompetent or just like evil.
Fine. Instead of Magi-chan, he's like the daughter Cassandra in the Iliad. Yeah. There is that classier?
I don't know, man. I think Magi-chan is a more like relatable, understood reference. I think you should stick with that one.
Are you? I mean, would you argue that Chris Chan isn't as big as the Iliad these days?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't trying to pick on you or anything. I'm not totally sure why you responded that way.
Well, I thought you were being sarcastic.
Oh, yeah. Also, final connection to me and Laios. With like family members, it's been a long-standing opinion that if you want to get me to do something, don't tell me to do something, because I'll do the opposite. Just like throw out feelers and wait for me to believe
Green, be
that
the lord of the manor. You
I
must.
know. Very funny. But people have totally told me, like, it's easy. The easiest way to get you to do something is just like hint at it, then wait for you to think it was your idea, and then you'll actually do it. And it's like, oh,
Yeah, when you decided to read Dungeon Meshi, I remember that.
exactly.
Oh,
Man, what a good manga this is.
Yeah. I'm glad that Green has found something he enjoys.
Yep.
I am too, because I wasn't sure about recommending it to him, because I was like, because it was something I didn't expect enjoying. Like, and for the early part, I was also like, this is good, but I wasn't like, I never expected it to be like a favorite. And also like the whole time I was reading the manga, it just kept getting better and better and better to like the end, and I was like, this has to get bad at some point. Like, this is gonna get lame. There's gonna be like an arc that I'm just gonna be like not interested in and kind of skim reading. They're gonna be part I'm bored with. It's gonna let loose something. I don't think it's gonna go to shit, but I don't think it's gonna stick the landing. And then it just didn't. I was like, what? Like, it's been so long since I've read a manga like that. Like, even some of my favorites, like, they end up incomplete, or they just drop off at a certain point, and it's like they have more good stuff because they're like longer. But like, this is such a nice little tidy complete package at the end of that. It's like I enjoyed every bit of that. Like,
yeah, I will say the pacing was great. This was probably the exact perfect length for it to be. I'd even be open to like a side story or some form of like minor sequel or prequel at some point.
I mean, it's up in the air what she'll do next. I mean, I assume she was involved in the anime production, and
I sure hope
still
so.
will be for the next couple of years. But then I'm interested in what she'll do next, because she's like she's also like clearly like it gained like a lot of ability in the in the process of making this manga. Like, now she could totally just tackle something like this again.
Yes.
And have all
this long.
Damn it.
Well, no, not at all. Just like make another 100 chapter thing and make it completely different. Just like set it in maybe not sci-fi, but like, I don't know, make something.
100 chapters is a good length for a manga. This was good.
Yeah.
Chainsaw Man, wasn't that exactly 100 chapters?
No, it's
a little
close,
bit. Yeah, a little bit less. Yeah, like same length,
like 97.
As Dungeon. Yeah.
Actually, it's just 97. Make every manga 97 chapters.
How long is Pluto? Is like 66 chapters, I think, but they're like bigger chapters, so it's kind of ends up being a similar length, I think. I might be talking out my ass, but I feel like
probably
Pluto chapters are a bit because it was monthly. That's why I'm saying that. I mean, to be fair, I don't know that Dungeon Meshi wasn't monthly either, but the chapters.
That would explain why it took so fucking long.
This is true.
Dungeon Meshi, I actually read the first few chapters like a couple of years ago because people were memeing it so hard online. Like, I know A has been, quoted to, not to make it a joke, but thirsting over this for a very long time. Hey, there's an ant on my wall. But I read the first
Not
few.
A fly, but an ant.
Yeah, I read the first few chapters, and I think I had the reaction a lot of people would. I thought, oh, this is fine. This is just like a gimmicky cooking fantasy manga. I don't have the patience to read this, but
was monthly. But...
Oh, okay. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Oh,
which
actually,
explains why it's so polished.
I mean, like 10 times 10, 100. Ballpark.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, but when I was reading Dungeon Meshi, it just seemed like a very straightforward, gimmicky thing. I'm sad that I didn't keep reading because it probably would have taken me until around chapter 20 to really get it. But yeah, there was a lot more to it than the gimmicky thing. I love my only real complaint with this show. Okay, a few minor complaints, mostly dealing with the ending and things that did or did not happen. But my only real complaint with the show, the cooking element stayed with it throughout. In the final third, like when they're really working hard on resolving the plot, the cooking kind of became a background thing more. Like, they had less fun with it.
Green, please open this on the stream.
Open what? What did you send me?
Click it.
Is it a Discord?
Yeah.
Okay, where is it? Oh, it's in messages. I have to scroll all the way down.
For you, there's a button for that. It's called Jump to Present.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Okay.
Always has been.
Okay, now let's open this. Do 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 do. I don't know why you're asking this of me, but
It's
okay.
funny.
Gay monsters.
It's a funny image. Come on.
Wait, pero means lick?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it does, like the One Piece character Pero always has his tongue sticking
And
out.
Perona, yeah, makes the Pero ghost.
Pride, lions. There's a lot going on here.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna.
I just like his face. What, you want me to make gay monsters?
Yeah. I'll fucking admit it. I'll be a man. I'll tell the truth. A lot of my problems with the ending deal with shipping and just wanting more closure. I said it. Yeah. Okay, fine. Click away. One person who's here.
No,
Fuck you.
Tumblr is right over there, dude. Like, whatever.
You just sent me a Tumblr. Oh, no, you didn't. That's Reddit. Is that
was
better?
Reddit, dude.
Yeah.
Completely different. No, it's worse. But I can find the image anywhere else.
No, Tumblr banned porn, so what's the point?
Oh yeah, it's true.
Yep.
I mean, I'm fine with it. Like, when it's stuff like that when it's just implied that it's a possibility, my head I always go for it did happen. Like we were saying earlier, like I totally believe in Fooly Cooley that Naota ended up with Eri, and like I don't care. Like, you don't have proofs to the contrary, so part of my enjoyment of the series is just believing that.
And EC, it's not even really a spoiler to say this. I don't know if you've even read the whole thing. At the end, it's just the ships that happen. They're heavily implied. I don't think there's any ship that's just like outright.
Yeah, there's never any moment
end.
of anyone being like kissing or just being like, let's date. Like, no.
I just wanted one panel at the end where every implied couple is standing next to each other, being like, "It sure is great that we got together."
Oh, like Fullmetal Alchemist does.
Yeah,
Fullmetal Alchemist just has a Polaroid at the end where it's Winry and Ed have two babies, and in the back you see Al and Mei Chang.
Yeah, I just wanted a corkboard. I wanted a corkboard where all the couples were together. Yeah, the author feels
there's
only like. I guess there's 3 couples. Yeah,
okay, like... I mean the ones that are implied early, Marcel and Lias, Phelan and Japanese guy Shuro,
and Kabro and Rin.
Kabro and Rin are those are at least they kiss during the show. Like that's that
even
counts.
If it was a gross fishman kiss.
He could have done so many other things than kiss her. Like fuck him for pretending he's not.
The logic of that was he needed to find a way to peacefully interrupt her incantation. I mean, I guess he could put his hand over her mouth, but
he could put other things in there too. But let's not get into there.
Come on.
I looked up the voice actress, and that's Megumin.
Oh,
that makes sense.
It's real.
Oh my god, she's a red mage. That's so funny.
Oh my god, that's almost cheating.
She basically almost casts explosion, but it's a lightning attack.
That's definitely intentional.
I love when Fallen casts the AoE spikes. How she just has no defensive magic because she's obviously like she's obviously a glass cannon mage. Yeah. So like the gnome puts himself in a little earth dome, and you just see a shot of her getting fucking impaled by a giant spike because she's like, I only know lightning attacks.
Oh, what? Some fucked up shit's going on. Oh god. This is so bad. Ignore the right half of the screen. You need to scroll past it. Kabru gets a lot of scenes of him staring in horror at something.
It's true. Like, that's his thing for the second half. It's just like people are all making horrible choices.
Yeah, half the time it's
mishandling the situation. Yeah, even Mithrin is doing like stuff, and he's just like, "What?" Like,
I'll be right back.
Will you?
Okay.
Yeah, I will.
He's leaving us. No.
Oh yeah. Also, I don't want to get too hung up on this, but like the orc woman was an interesting addition.
Oh, while Jaws isn't here, that's so funny when she's like, "I will give myself to Laios for my people." And then she like breaks character and starts crying.
I mean, doesn't that happen twice?
Well, it's so funny because it's like normally you would expect the male character to not want this because she's like, I mean, she's cute in her way, I suppose, but like for most humans, you're gonna be like, oh, she's a gross orc woman, but she's like, no, not a man. Whatever, like not Laios, he's a fucking creepy perv.
Yeah,
he's gonna want to see how many nipples I have.
I think the exact quote, it was Laios is like making a rape face, mumbling, I want to learn what orc sweat tastes like. And it's
oh God, that's right.
and it's a horrifying fantasy.
It's just so funny.
Her design is genius because like she manages to look cute and ugly at the same time. Like they pulled that off. And also
it's like you don't want that stupid stereotype of like the like I hate that shit so much when like the when like the males of a species are like incredibly ugly.
Oh yeah.
And then like
I will now buy your game.
With, like World. Yeah, I do that a bit with they do that a bit with like World of Warcraft orcs, right? Like the male orcs are like these gigantic behemoths with disgusting tusks, and then the girls are just like green women with pointy teeth. Am I crazy?
No, I know you're true. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I know a lot of people do it. I haven't played WoW in a long time, but you just reminded me of the meme from that indie game with the rats, where the guy rat looks like a fucking monster, and the girl rat is a little waifu with tits. I will now buy your game.
I saw someone say this. I think I mentioned someone said this about Dungeon Meshi. How they appreciate how the dwarves are just like stumpy women who barely look different than the guys, because like. In various stories, it's like the dwarves just look like dwarves, and then the dwarf women just look like tiny ladies.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, okay, she's just like a small person, basically.
I mentioned this a little while ago. The oh my god, what am I gonna come up with? Outbreak Company dwarves. If I recall right, Outbreak Company pulls like bigger bullshit with that than anyone ever because. Oh, here's actually a good image.
Oh yeah, I mentioned you saying something to me about this.
Where it's just like it's so shameless. The dwarves, even the dwarves that are like 12, have gigantic beards and like look like middle-aged men, and the dwarven women or woman is just like a little cute thing. Like they don't even try to justify it. Like it's pretty shameless.
Yes. I mean, isn't that a Gimli line that like even the women have beards?
Yeah. Which a lot of D&D worlds do that too. I think Thupa told me that.
I mean, fine by me.
Yeah, that is fine.
There's plenty of other fantasy races to be attracted to if you're not dwarf women, unless you're specifically set on that.
Yeah, it's I said that, but it's someone
also
made.
They can shave.
Yes, no, get rid of this non-dungeon meshy stuff. No, not the black dwarf recolor. I don't know why they did that.
Are you saying Senshi goes through like the mushroom and he just comes out black?
No, someone on Twitter recolored the orc lady to be black for some reason. They needed that apparently. They looked at this ugly monster. It's like I need to feel represented. Meanwhile, I feel represented with ugly monsters just by Lias.
Yeah,
it's.
I love how Izumi changes into a kobold.
Yeah, just a different type of.
Yeah, she's just a derpy dog.
And she still has cat ears, even as a dog.
She still has cat ears. Like that's the only recognizable part of hers is she still has the cat ears.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, Jaws is still gone. Yeah, he hasn't been eating well, has he?
Ha. He's crying in the corner.
He's crying, just like I'm not owned. I
meant to say earlier, we kept saying that there was like a bunch of stuff where it could be like kind of. You were saying like the world building could have just become like boring and stuff.
Yes.
But they make it, or another thing that could totally have been like, just the author like, just doing stuff to entertain themselves could have been like the race swapping thing, because you're just like, oh, this is just the author being like, I want to draw my characters different and look how meme worthy they look, but it ends up being great world building and also being like an interesting challenge because everyone realizes the weird good and bad things about each other's races.
Yes.
And it was very interesting. Like I love how Marcel can just like hear stuff and get needled with feedback and then knocks into everyone. Fucking Laios gets tired immediately. Said she doesn't want to fight because he's a fucking. They're like, where's your pot? He's like, I don't want to carry it. It's heavy. Just Chilchuck is just fucking doesn't notice any traps anymore because he's like, because tall men are just like.
And he's tall enough to set off
but they don't notice anything.
He's tall enough to
heavy
set
enough
off the
to
pressure
set off traps. Yes.
Thank you, like author, for putting the race chart in 50 times, making it very easy to look up the actual episode. No, it's still cool.
It is.
Speaking of which, remind me, was the Succubus episode, was that an episode
That's
or
in
was
the
that in the
manga.
manga?
That's the manga almost. That's very shortly after where that's like chapter 57 or something, like maybe 60.
Okay, warning to anyone who cares. I guess we're talking slightly manga now.
You're talking about you're talking about Chuck's cute halfling waifu who showed up in the succubus thing. I like how they made the succubi like equal parts attractive and incredibly gross. Like the actual species of what they are it is kind of like revolting.
Oh right, yeah, green? Where they like they slurp veins.
Well, they're like gross mosquitoes is the joke. Like,
oh right,
they seem super attractive to you and like they're kissing you, but actually they're just stabbing you with a spike and draining your fluids. And they lay eggs. They lay gross hundreds of insect eggs inside in water sources, and you're just like, oh my god, these things are awful, but also damn. I'll make sure to kill them after I've done other stuff.
Yes. Also, I just while looking for that, I happened across a funny.
Remember the image where it's like it.
Oh God! I know who the other person in this is now.
Okay, she classifies like a bunch of desire monsters, and when she shows the example of succubus, it's Shuro and a cute little like moth fallen looking at him. It's very cute, a little chibi drawing.
You should find that because I sure as shit won't.
Yeah.
I was actually looking for my favorite part of the. Well, now I want to look up succubus chill truck as well. At this point, it would be easier just to get to just look up the fucking chapter, honestly.
I'm not sure if that's illegal or not because of BG's thing. Like,
it's not illegal to show a manga panel. Well, they would have to a manga panel. They're not going to find it
to go through an entire page on like to go through the whole chapter. I think is because you're sharing the entire chapter for people to see without.
I mean, you could try. I don't think that would. I don't think it's it. But yeah, this is Chill Chuck's waifu he gets, where she's just like a slightly plump woman who apparently doesn't she look just like his wife?
That's the implication, I assume.
Oh yeah,
the joke with Chill Chuck is that he's like at various points he's like trying to. It seems like an asshole husband, and he's being a hard ass. But actually, it's just that he's like he actually is just a very normal, understanding, just like a sweet, not understanding, but like a sweet husband, who's just like doesn't understand his relationship very well and is dumb.
Yeah, like, that's such bullshit, by the way. Where Marcial's like, she only left so that you would go after her, and Chilchuck's like, what?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's realistic, but it is bullshit.
Okay, Jaws, if I show an image of a succubus, are you going to get upset?
No, why would I?
Well, okay, it's a minor spoiler. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's coming up very shortly if you're reading the.
If you want to go read it real quick.
It's one of the very things. It's one of the very next things.
Okay, I'm sharing this image because this might be my favorite image in the entire. Let me copy the image, you son of a fucking bastard. Okay, this might be my favorite image in the whole manga, where when Laios gets cornered by a succubus, it comes out as Marcial, and then it turns into Giga Heptahead Marcial, where she's a wolf-headed monster version of herself, because. This might be, it's like at least top 3 moments in the entire manga to me, because it was just so brilliant, because one, it basically admits, yes, Laios, he probably isn't aware of it, but he is attracted to Marcial on some level, but he's still just such a freak that he can't just enjoy that normally. It has to be a monster-fied version of her. Because when I was looking at this, the only thing I kept thinking is like, imagine if Marcial walked around the corner and saw this.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if Marcial saw this was his succubus monster.
I mean, would you be flattered but also horrified?
I think it'd be like, it'd probably be a mix of both, because I think she probably likes him as well at that point, you think, but it's so horrifying.
God damn it. I know I have this image saved. If you just give me a second.
Also, it's funny
'cause I
that
couldn't find it
Marcial's
online.
succubus is just it's just like a 12-year-old girl's image of what an attractive man
Yes.
is. It's
Yeah.
like a shoujo villain with an eye
He
patch,
has
like
an eye-
riding
he
a
has an eye
horse.
patch. Yeah, it's like Vampire Hunter D. Yeah, I love the eye patch.
Yeah, it's god fucking awful. I'm trying to
Yeah,
find
like
that.
Chuck is just like she has awful taste.
Yeah, and she does. She really
Yeah,
does.
she does.
Oh, someone did a cute fan art of it, but that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, God. Oh, when Giga Marcial says, Lias, why don't you become a monster too?
Yes.
Yeah, well.
Oh, God.
And then we can be monster friends. Oh, I found the page.
Laios is such a freak. He's such a
Let him,
weirdo.
let him
the
look the Minotaur.
Yes. Oh, that was so bad when he's like, yes, you have specifically requested to eat Minotaur. And the Minotaurs look like fucking gross. And he's just like whistling off to the side, just like, who would do such a thing?
God.
Green, here's the page I was talking about.
I also found the image of Marcial's ideal man, and it is pathetic. This is arguably worse than the Giga Marcial fetish. Okay, you sent me something. What is it? That's Umineko. Oh, I'm looking at weeks ago. Okay, never mind.
Oh, Green. Oh, Green.
Yeah,
when will you learn?
Never, apparently. I'm like that Boku Bon people, or whatever it is.
Boku no Pico,
what's that show? We never learn. It's not
Bokurano? Wait,
not,
what?
No, they never learn either. Yeah. Wait, why are you? Oh, are you sending me this? Was this a tie-in?
No, that's just a chapter cover.
Okay. Oh, the nightmares were fun too.
No.
Well, this is just a list of all the monsters which prey on your desires. But yeah, I like Shuro and little
yeah,
like
the giant
mushrooms. He's very cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Living painting, treasure bug. Oh, treasure bugs were clever. I forgot about treasure bugs.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
They are.
She says, of course you can't eat real gems as they plummet.
Oh yes, that's great. This fucking chucks them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Phelan's a moth.
We don't need. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's a succubus. They're like, we don't need money where we're going.
Oh, this is so. Yeah, it's like Christ telling them to throw away their possessions.
Also, this is a total. I mean,
Also, I just noticed here. It took me a second. Chilchuck's nightmare is his dead family as he cries over their bodies.
Aww.
That's pretty bad. Oh, the magic mirror is all Senshi's old friends. Yeah, it's sad. It's very sad. Before they, that stuff happened. Also, we haven't talked about the mermaid scene early on where Laios sings the mermaid song is the funniest thing.
To me, that's the funniest scene in the anime.
It's so great.
I
love the fucking
I had to go back
so much.
I liked it much more the second time I saw it, because the first time I thought it might have been like a countermeasure, like Laios is singing because that like nullifies their songs.
It's the perfect example of Green misremembering things. He thinks he went back to see it when in fact I showed it to him second time on stream.
Shut up!
I was watching.
I'm not Laios. You can't convince me.
Good thing I had the idea to go look back and see that scene for no reason.
Yeah, I think I'm great.
You showed us like a few Laios moments, so I saw that before I saw that scene. Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
Yes, I did everything. That's the main point.
It is also so funny that who's the Japanese Shuro? Is that his name?
That's Shuro. Yeah.
Okay, there's some
his technical name. He has a different name. Shuro is his nickname that the party gave him.
Yeah,
it's Toshiro. Yeah.
Okay, Toshiro. Okay.
Yeah, it's unclear if Shuro is like them mishearing it or is Shuro short for Toshiro.
Yeah,
it's not Toshiro. It's Toshiro.
I mean, I am very far from the first person to notice this, but Shuro finding, the sister's autistic antics adorable and Laios is disgusting and annoying, that is funny.
Yes.
Like, I know Laios is actually worse, but it's obviously a genetic thing. Your kids are going to be the same way.
Yeah. Is like, there is no woman more fascinating than her, and then there is no man more fucking aggravating than you.
It's like, dude, they're the same thing.
Yeah, they're exactly.
It's gonna be hilarious when Shuro has 7 sons who are exactly like Laius.
Oh God.
You wanted this,
Seven
dude.
son, no, the 7th son.
Yes. One has magical
Yes.
powers.
Yep.
Man, what else is there even to say about Dungeon Meshi?
I guess
The
we
first
both
time
covered most of the stuff pre-spoiler.
Oh man.
The first time that I heard Fallon talk, I thought for a moment it was Anna Kanazawa, but it is not. It is
Oh.
actually the voice actress for Yotsugi.
Oh, that's
Monogatari.
cool. Oh, dude, we were looking up. We were pausing to look up voice actors so often because there were so many times I heard someone. I heard a voice that's like, I fucking heard this voice before, and I couldn't figure out who. But then you looked it up. It's like, oh, this person was like a JoJo character or something like that.
Yes.
Or
Yes,
Mifrun is once again Shigaraki.
Yes, that's right.
Wait, Michi, wasn't there a really big one that we found, or was that with a different show?
Oh,
I might be thinking. I might be thinking Planet With, where we learned that the green-haired girl from Planet With was actually Nanachi, I think is what I'm thinking of. But we did that all the time with this as well. We stopped to look up random nobody voices, and they all ended up being someone famous.
Oh, real quick, this is something that I'm gonna forget, but I haven't seen anyone mention this. I don't think I've seen anyone mention this about Green. Do you remember? This isn't really spoilers, but later on they go to this place I'm sending you in chat. And I was like, this seems very reminiscent of something. And then I was like, that's totally like a giant reference both to Yggdrasil and the snake around the roots. And also, it's totally that thing where it's like a celestial sphere and the guy is like poking his head out.
Oh, the Flammarion diagram.
Yes. Like, I was like, that's definitely that. Like, because the tree has little fruits, which are stars. Like, and it's like a perfectly circular, like, herbarium they're in. And I was like, that's really cool. Because it's perfectly representative of like how the person who lives in that tree is like in a bubble and containing themselves from the rest of the world. I thought that was really cool because I mean there's a lot of like funny like references and touches, like the Marcial's outfit later with the furry ears.
Well, hold on.
Like,
I have something for this. Yes. I know exactly what you mean.
I swear I've seen that in like actual like medieval and Renaissance like portraits of some court ladies where that was like a fashion for a while, because they always have like elaborate headgear with like lots of like cloth and weird like drapery and stuff. And I swear I've seen one where it's like a cap like that with animal ears. So I think that was like a very funny like historical reference almost.
Yeah.
I love that outfit. I don't like it when they all make fun of her. I think it's cool.
I actually liked. Well, I was both. I was a little defensive of her being like, okay, the outfit's kind of cool, but it also was funny how insecure she got over it.
It's true.
Because
it was funny.
Because it's totally got to be like based off her like deepest desire to have a dress.
Do you think part of it was also meant to appeal to Laius because it's a big furry outfit with animal ears?
That's actually genius that you just brought that
subconsciously. Yeah, but anyway, let's save that talk.
I'm taking back all those times I said you never make a point ever. Okay, now I'm going to run out of the room for a second, and I'll be right back.
No, none of us talks for the rest of the day. Yay! What did you talk about while I was gone? Spoilers?
Yeah, kinda.
Okay. All right.
We didn't talk about much. I'm not entirely sure which of the things we actually talked about, in fact.
Is it explained why Mifrin's eye is half closed?
Yes, in the manga. I mean, it's what you're coming on like very soon. Like in his journey with with Kabru, he gives his backstory. It's actually a funny little gimmick where Kabru, because Mithrin is an elf and he's lived a long time, he remembers stuff. He tells him like every little detail of his backstory, and Kabru remembers it all because he's like that. But there's like 30 names, so he just condenses it by like abridging it and cutting out a load of stuff and stuff like that. And then by the end of it, when he tells it, because he's trying to process it for when he needs to explain it to people. When he tells it back to Mithrin, he's like, "Well, you got all the details wrong, but that's basically right."
Hell yes.
Like what happened. But yeah, it's explained why his eye is. I mean,
and
it's a fake eye, I think, but it's just like weirdly closed because the whole like muscle around it is also damaged. But the eye itself should be missing completely, and I think he just has a glass eye in the place. Yeah, so I don't think he can see out of that.
And Jaws, I think the first thing we talked about when you were gone was the orc lady princess person.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. Do you find her attractive?
No. Don't.
Okay. Well, that's all we needed to know.
No. Also,
where's our
I
think it's funny how she's like kicking the shit out of Cholchuk for being a little coward, and then how like every weird thing he mentions, he's like, that's cool. She's like they're like, we ate the dragon. She's like, as you should. It is your right since you killed it. And you're like, hell yeah. She's like she's only the only person they've ever mentioned eating monsters to, which wasn't grossed out.
Yeah,
I just brain blasted myself. Like I thought like that the old gnome. I thought the voice actor was Jiraiya, so I went to look it up right now, and it's not Jiraiya. It's actually Kakashi.
Oh
shit! That's so weird. That's
Yeah.
how old he is now, the voice actor. How fucking funny is it that Kaburo says, "I'll take you up on the eating monsters," and then immediately regrets it and then has to eat heart. That's so fucking.
We actually stopped to talk about that. Oh, doesn't that happen with Shuro too, a little bit?
I mean, Shuro kind of says he'll help them with the fallen thing.
Oh,
in a
okay.
way, but he never says like, "I'll eat monsters with you."
I think we got talking a bit about how, like in this might be a worthless tangent at this point, but like there are certain cultures, like I think the Middle East and like India is like this.
You did
where,
talk about this.
Where if you make a offer, and I believe how it works is if there are no details to the offer, it's just a polite thing that the other person is supposed to nod at and not believe it's real. But if you give concrete details, then it's like a real offer. And Kabru says this to Elias, because Elias is like, "Oh, we'll feed you some monsters sometimes," and Kabru just goes, "Oh, that sounds great," not realizing it's a real offer. Like he thinks it's like a polite, "Oh, maybe we'll kick it sometime" thing. He doesn't realize Elias is going to immediately latch onto this as, "Oh, Kabru wants to eat monsters. I need to go get some monsters for him."
Remember when he's like, "We even met some orcs," and then Kabru pauses like, what did they taste like? And he's like, no. No, we didn't.
Well, they have to explicitly tell Elias not to eat humanoids at many points during the journey.
Yes.
And they bend the rules with the Kelpie eggs at one point. Like that comes up when they're doing the Changeling episode. Because Marcial's like, we never ate Kelpie eggs, right?
Not Kelpie, those are seamen.
Oh, seamen, sea people.
Fishman said it better, sorry.
Yeah, that's for, then they were like, that's for destroying the Mycenaean civilization.
Mycenaean. I like the Mycenaean.
Yeah, shut up.
But cooler. But they have mice and eons.
Who's the one who made the reference?
He was the one who thought that he wasn't Greek for a bit because he was like, "No, that's not Greece." Lame.
I didn't even participate in that inane fucking argument you guys had. That was the dumbest fucking...
The inane argument where I was correct and everyone else was like, Mycenae isn't Greece, and then I was like, it is.
Michi, I hate to be the one to tell you this. Half the arguments you've had were just you yelling at the other person.
Yes.
Like the other person did perceive an actual point of conflict.
I was yelling about them being correct. Yes.
Okay, that's cool. An
argument doesn't have to be a conflict. It's just
literally
It's literally the word. Argument
I
is
mean,
just
I have no investment in this one way or the other.
Show your arguments. Like,
Good.
my argument
An
was
argument
that,
about arguments.
Man, that's a
okay.
very
Someone
interesting point, Michi. I have no
someone
opinion
said,
on
was
it, but
Alexander
I'm
of
just
Greece
sitting
actually
here.
Greek? He was born in Mycenae. I was
Yeah.
like, that's the
Hey,
dumbest thing
Josh,
I've
what
ever
are you
heard. Of course
thinking
he was
about?
Greek.
Because I'm not
He's the
participating in
fucking
this,
archetypal Greek.
nor do I care about the outcome.
Head
Oh, you're so
empty,
cool.
no
I don't
thoughts.
care about
Head
everything.
empty. Yeah. Anyways, Dungeon Meshi. What do you think about Dungeon Meshi, Jaws?
He already said he
It's
doesn't like very much.
alright.
Okay. I've had this fucking titty picture of Phelan on here for too long. Oh, it was so fun. That was a funny moment when she goes to rip her shirt up and like Shuro is like blushing in the corner.
Yes.
Just very.
And Marcel's like, no, don't do it.
Very.
It's not worth it.
Meanwhile, one episode before, Phelan had been like bloody and naked for like 10 straight minutes and no one even noticed.
Meanwhile, Laios only cared about how many nipples she had.
Yes. Oh, it might be 0 because she's a chicken.
I love how he's trying to rationalize, like, he's thinking maybe we could dig a hole and make her a shopkeeper.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Like, shut up.
I mean, that's so stupid that it doesn't.
Yeah,
even
it's
sound
genius.
Like
Like, I love the little visual of her being a little monster person.
Laios's hope that he has so far when any rational person would have given up hope was pretty good.
Yes.
Man.
Yes. I mean, it's cool how, like, Thistle accidentally just made one of the fucking scariest monsters in the dungeon.
Yep.
Because it's implied that the Thistle doesn't even... He's so fucking insane. He doesn't even regard Fallen as human whatsoever. Like, he just senses dragon DNA, and he's like, oh, where did the dragon go? It's not this bit. This is a corpse. Oh, it's over there. I didn't give you orders, dragon? Like, he is... It's like, it didn't even cross his mind that it's like a person. It's like, what? And then ends up making... It's like the scariest shit, because not only is it like a fucking scary-ass, big-ass dragon, it also can just spell cast. Yeah. Like, and it fucking has healing magic, and it's fucking basically immortal. Like, terrifying entity.
Yeah, she's so cool, though.
She is. She's cool.
Like I saw images of her like on the timeline like weeks back. I did not know that. Yeah, I did not know.
I didn't know how it happened.
Yeah, I tried to go in with minimal spoilers, but I had seen Monster Phelan several times. Like, there was just no way around that.
Yes.
Man.
I mean, it's fair. I also, you know that they're gonna swap different races because everyone's going nuts with that shit.
I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
I didn't remember that point because I didn't know the characters well enough to even realize they
I just saw a lot of fan art of the swaps for ages. That's cool. I mean, it had been a meme when it happened in the manga, and I had seen it back then already, and then, but I had like slightly forgotten it, and then when it happened again in the anime, the Twitter just went fucking nuts.
Very minor point, but the "she looks so cool" image. I mean, the centerpiece of the image looks really good. I just realized, like, she had to draw all those little bricks in perspective on the floor.
Yeah,
that was really hard.
I'm not sure at that point what the assistant situation was, to be fair, but for a lot of time it was just her. Yeah, she drew all the scales on the dragon, definitely.
Yeah.
The fucking also, it's really funny how he catches himself afterwards. Where it's like, it is cool, but he's also like pragmatically worried about like, it's a bit greedy though. Like, does it need feathers and scales? Like, that doesn't make much sense. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, when you think about it, where do the feathers even come from?
Yeah, from Phelan, of course.
But the feathers made sense, Green, because remember, then they were like, it actually makes sense for her to be able to traverse cold terrain. Because reptiles are cold, like, would have a tough time going through the snowy parts, but birds are nicely plumed. So that's clever. I'm not sure what the idea with the feathers was, actually. It's curious.
I'm just because the dragon didn't have feathers, or maybe it brought out the dragon's latent chicken DNA.
It could be that. Is it because she brought her pillow?
Huh.
Or something.
Or maybe she was wearing. Maybe the dragon had feathers in its stomach, or something.
Or
Yeah, maybe it
maybe
just
it's
eaten
because
birds.
it looked really cool.
Yeah, maybe that as
Yeah.
well. But then why doesn't she have like rockets on her shoulders?
Because she's not a robot.
It might be because that wouldn't be cool. Yeah.
Well, you know what we should talk about, because I actually don't even know how much I care about talking about like the spoiler final act stuff. Other than it was very well done. You know, maybe we'll talk
Are you
about
kidding?
that.
I want to talk about all the cool stuff about demons and fucking dungeon lords and
I don't.
shit.
That bores me. I live that shit every day in the streets.
Oh, my dungeon lord came and wanted rent from me again.
44,000 dead cops.
Dead cops.
World is a dungeon.
Yeah.
I should have.
Everyone must dive.
Yeah.
I watched the final
40
act
million
with.
monsters eaten.
I watched the final act with total placidity, being like, "Yep, it really do be like that." But ooh, look at the food. That's cool. You know, we should talk about the food. What food was best in Dungeon Meshi?
Food?
I like.
I would
were the
enjoy
dumpling
living
fillings a monster?
Wait,
The
what?
dumpling fillings were
The dumpling fillings, or were they normal food?
initially they were hippogriff, I believe, but then some of them were vegetable, but then they started changing into actual stuff like actual food when they put them through the
Yeah, but
through the
it was before the Marcio or whoever did that with the change thing.
I thought they were hippogriff dumplings, but I might be wrong.
It might have been made out of a familiar, or I'm mixing shit up, whatever.
I thought that was like sushi that they made out of that. No, they made fish and chips with that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. No, it wasn't that. No, it was like dumplings would have been.
They were hippogriff
cool.
dumplings originally. Yes, I looked it up now. The dungeon wiki has hippogriff dumplings and then changeling dumplings from a fairy ring. Yeah. So they were because they got a lot of meat off that hippogriff.
I will say the changeling ring threw me a bit. Like it was a little confusing because it's like, wait, so the changeling ring, it just sorts creatures into types and then turns it into something kind of similar. Like I guess that works. It's just weird. Like that Lias thought it would turn the griffin into a hippogriff. That was a big jump for me. Like I got a little confused there.
I mean, that is confusing because it turned it into something so similar. Yeah.
I mean, I was confused when the first gargoyle was changed into just this. Yeah,
big disc. Yeah. Thing. I mean, the idea seems to be that it changes into different types of statues from the dungeon.
I mean, that's easier for me.
It into like that must have been like a wall gargoyle, like literally like water comes out of it. A gargoyle just is a mounted piece of architecture which water sprouts out of. So the little cherub who pees also counts as a gargoyle because also water comes out of it.
I mean, that one's easier for me. That one is just like
funny.
Turning into random bullshit is one thing, but conceptually going like, okay, what's the most similar monster to this that the person in the room would recognize it as being kind of similar? Like that was just a jump. Especially Lias counting on it. Like that was the worst part.
In folklore, fairy rings turn. Changelings are always like humanoids. Like it's never like whenever all the legends of like children coming home, but they're like goblins or they're little like elves or something. It's never like they came home and they were a dragon or a horse. So you could amicably say I'm not saying it's not a bit of an ass pull, but it would change like humanoid species into humanoid species and maybe horse monsters. Maybe there was a chance it could have turned into a kelpie or a dualahan or something. It just happened to turn into the most similar monster.
Green, what was your favorite food?
I'm not totally sure. It might have been the living armor, just because that was such a fun idea.
That was one of
I was like rating it based on how much I would like it if I were to eat it.
I enjoy like
mollusks.
Well, specifically like what do you call them? Like oysters and things like that. Like
no.
Okay, fine. Be lame.
Honestly, this is going to be
never even had snail.
This is a lame answer, and it's partially cheating. The most memorable
Churro
meal.
sushi.
Yeah. The most memorable meal might just be the rice with mushrooms that Senshi made the cat girl.
Yeah, that,
I would enjoy that.
Yeah, like there was something else in it other than mushrooms.
I definitely want
right?
fucking dragon steak, man. I want a fucking big plate of dragon steak.
Yes.
That should look great.
Yeah, there was like some cool dragon stuff, meat. Yeah.
Yes. And they had like they were like cooking stuff on the scales. That was cool. They made pizza. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah, they made pizza without.
Colin was eating the pizza. She
without
was like, of
cheese.
course, she immediately ate Monster because she didn't give a fucking shit.
Oh, the orc medicinal concoction was probably the worst meal in the thing.
Oh god.
That's not a meal. That's an anesthetic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Phoenix. Oh wait, you weren't. But Jaws hasn't seen the Phoenix
No,
yet.
that's not. Phoenix doesn't count.
Which was
Um,
okay. Frog suit is not a meal.
They were like, well, if I recall correctly, they were walking through the things eating noodles, dressed as frogs. Also, it's great when they're like, "We know what we're gonna do," and they're all gonna cook, and Marcial gets into the frog suit.
yeah.
Yeah, the rest of the episode, of the episode, like everyone keeps calling her Frog Girl. Also, it's hilarious how they got her to dress it by saying you'd probably look really cute. And everyone are like, "Oh, look at the little hair! They look like bunny ears. The frog eyes, yeah." And she's just like,
that was one of the things that sold Laius as a character to me. When they put on the frog suits and you're looking at it going like, "Oh, the eyes look like little ears. That's kind of funny." And then Laius just says, "It's really cool that the eyes look like ears right now."
"Yeah."
And everyone else is annoyed.
Chilchuk is just a little sausage.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
this
they just tied the top of his head up.
The Soul's Egg Benedict was a fun idea. It looks a little messy. I like that it has tomatoes on it.
I really like the special fried rice inside of the brick. I wouldn't eat the brick because it tasted like shit. But like,
that one was
a big cockatrice egg all over it, and it looked delicious. I was like, fuck, I loved like Chinese rice and stuff like that with egg in it. I'm like, hell yeah, I would fucking eat that. Yeah.
Damn. Oh, that does look good.
It's interesting how it was funny also how some of the stuff you thought would taste like some stuff tastes like other stuff. Like I believe the mimics didn't taste at all like crab. The fucking octopus tasted disgusting. Like no matter how you cooked it, but then they ate the fucking parasite.
Yeah.
That's so funny. He just gets a fucking.
I mean, the thing is, he ate it raw. Like all of them ate. Yeah, all of them ate the version.
Yeah, it's actually a miracle Laius hasn't died just from.
Yes, he's such an idiot.
Yeah.
I wonder what it tastes like. Oh, he's dying on the floor.
Mana sickness.
Mana sickness was fucking funny as shit.
Yeah, they kind of dropped that. Like it becomes
magic thing?
Yeah, it becomes less important as it goes along. That was fun though.
It has a few clutch moments, but it's not super important.
Man, this show makes me sad because I haven't really cooked in like. I mean, I haven't cooked regularly in like years, and I don't know if I've cooked a meal in like a year at this point.
I made some nice sticky barbecue ribs today.
That sounds very nice. Well, while we were going, Michi actually chimed in at one point because they were like pouring wine into rice, like, oh, they're making risotto, and you're like, how do you know all these dishes they're doing?
I mean, it multiple times. Like, I cook quite a bit, but I don't like cook anything fancier with a name. Really, I mostly make like. I'll make like stir fries and little. I usually almost exclusively just like fry stuff. Occasionally,
that's
put
like
stuff in the oven or But mostly like I'll just make like a nice side dish and like a steak or a bit of fish or something like a chili con carne or something like that. Like spaghetti bolognese. Like I know like lots of basic dishes, so I don't get like bored with variety. But I like Green multiple times was like. Yeah, risotto was one. Like he just like because it's not like they made it.
I've never eaten risotto.
It's not like I mean I think I've had risotto, but the point was it's not like they made it and Green recognized it. Like there's like step 2 of the recipe, and Green was like, oh, they're making some kind of risotto or something. I was like, oh yeah, I think they are. But there was another one also that had like a specific name which I didn't even know, and Green just fucking knew off the top of his head, and I was like, yeah, man. Green just knows like actual cooking stuff.
Yeah, there was a time in my life I was actually pretty into cooking. I've just been like a sad loner for years at this point, so I just like ate pieces of cheese. That's what I do. I'm Alan from Smiling Friends. I just want my cheese.
It's not my cheese.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, has a new episode come out? I haven't.
There is a new episode we haven't watched yet.
Oh yeah, Smiling Friends. This is now the Smiling Friends stream.
Oh no, we already did that.
We did?
Yeah. I think Nochi was the other one you got.
Oh yeah, Nochi. I know.
Yeah,
I know Nochi.
I was looking through the list.
Yeah,
that was like really fast. Like they started like just the beginning of the meal, and he was like, "Oh, they're gonna make Nochi," and I was like, "What? How do you know that?" Yeah, I was like, I didn't remember if they were or not. I blanked on a lot of the names of the things.
Oh yeah, tentacle Nochi. Oh, and they've got garlic slices in it. It looks pretty good, man.
Remember when they cleaned Senshi up and he was all puffy?
Yeah,
his hair was all like fucking flowing in the wind.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking cool. That was pretty.
He was
crazy.
too dirty to use magic on.
Man, we need maybe next time I come over, we'll cook a meal together.
Maybe.
Years.
Oh, also,
now.
It was cool how they just introduced like they were kind of getting a little too like Senshi knows all his shit and like he knows how to use monsters very well. So yeah, that was nice having a little touch of him just like trusting this Kelpie. And the whole time the Kelpie was playing the fucking long game and nearly fucking murdered him.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, this is my friend. She is like the golem. It's like, first of all, the golems aren't your friends either. Like, you need to fight them and kill them every time you want to harvest their vegetables. Like, it's not like he's domesticated golems and they're like subservient to him and they let him farm on them. It's like, no, you need to murder them.
Kind of funny with the accidental ice golem.
Oh yeah, that was really funny.
That was
he just was washing one off and dropped it down the drain. Yes. It's also funny how like stronger than almost everyone else Utsumi is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she's pretty fucking good.
She just doesn't care. Oh yeah, that's a whole element of the show. They don't get that into it, but Shuro's clan that he's from. Like, they just have, like, a bunch of pet weirdos.
Well, yeah, the idea is, like, they take in, like, kind of taboo creatures maybe other clans wouldn't consider, and that's kind of their advantage, because they have really overpowered, like, creatures in their army, which is interesting. Also, the fucking Baromets, the lamb plant. Well, I knew about that years and years ago. Like, I read about it in Borges' book of fantastic creatures.
Really?
That's like a thing that they thought were existing.
Yeah, that's like a creature like a manticore or like Marco Polo's weird men who have their faces on their chests and no heads. It's just like a creature from, or Lamias, like lots of creatures from ancient Greece and that Pliny wrote about, which were not known to exist or not. Yeah, it was just like, well, the idea was like, I think it arose from like cotton growing on trees, so therefore there should be a tree that also grows wool. But the form in which it would do it is a sheep just grows out of a, like the illustrations look exactly like that. Like he just drew exactly what they look like in like old 1600 and 1500 manuscripts. There's like a fucking plant, and at the top of it is just awkwardly a little lamb sitting there. But it's really clever how they make it how she expands on like its life cycle because from like those notes it's not really expanded upon how it grows. It's just like, oh, just tree sprouts lambs. So they make it that there's like a fruit stage, and inside of it is a fucking like a little what are they, not foals, is it a foal?
Embryo.
No.
Well, yeah, but it's
no,
like
it wouldn't
it's
be
like
a foal. I think
it's not an embryo because it's like got bones and stuff. It's like a
fetus.
A baby sheep.
I would just say fetus.
But okay, but I okay. It's like mutton, right? Though.
Well, I think lamb. Yeah. I think you would just call it lamb.
A lamb. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, you said lamb.
Yeah, the other ones were sheep.
Oh.
Well, I meant sheep when I said lamb. Okay. Because it was a full sheep. Yeah, exactly. So like a baby lamb inside of a plant. Yeah. Also, it's a good punchline where she's like, "If things don't turn into things, how do you explain that?" It's a fucking sheep on a plant.
Yeah.
It's like I can't explain that.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting is the dryads. How they're like these fucking plants, and they turn into this creepy face. That was like a Pokemon. It's like this fucking weird, like Chad face pumpkin. And then they're just these like weirdly enticing creatures.
Then they all get hay fever.
Oh yeah.
They do. It's very funny. I mean, I
Senshi
related
tries
to
to
that
cover.
very hard because I constantly get hay fever.
Good to hear that, Gobble. You do you. What? Don't worry about it. Also, that is where Senshi tries to cover Chilchuk's eyes, so he doesn't learn what sex is, and Chilchuk's older than him.
Well, it's not older than him, but
relatively.
He's also like, he's like, and then he tries to explain. He's like, humans have pistols too, and he's like,
he screams.
He makes like an old '80s manga face, where it's like, or like a Junji Ito scream face.
Being a halfling just sucks.
Yes.
Like you're arguably more useful than humans,
I mean,
but
it's totally funny also because the audience is in on it for the first part. Like when they bring it up the first time, they're like, they think Chilchuk is like a kid. Like the audience also thinks that. They think he's like a teenager or something, right?
I mean, I cleverly noticed it was a fantasy show and assumed they were going somewhere else with that, but fair enough.
Well, Michi, did you notice in the scene right before the shapeshifters, when they like all grabbing onto each other's hands?
Yeah, Marcel grabs onto an extra hand.
That Izutsume.
And it's got Izutsume's claws, Yeah, but even outside of that, just her holding on to a fifth party member, you're like, well, it's obviously someone else is here. Because they weren't all in a circle.
But it's funny then that like Izutsume is not with the shapeshifter, so it's like a little misleading.
Well, she's like, I think the idea is she's hiding in one of the cells off to the side. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get that that's the thing, but it's interesting.
It's a bit of a bait, right? It's also no one ever notices that Izutsume is the disguised cat character. Like even though they have like, I'm not saying it's like totally obvious, but if you just like think for a second, you're like, well, I know this show has a cat girl, and here is a character with cat ears and cat eyes, but like most of their faces covered. Like when that first happened in the manga, obviously no one thought that because she hadn't been introduced yet. But like when you're watching the anime, you're just like, oh, where's Izutsume gonna show up? But it's like, oh, she was there.
Yeah, they totally got
also
me
like
too.
how she just runs off when Fallen shows up. She's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I ain't fucking dying to a big dragon.
Oh, I like that too. Like they don't try to come up with like a clever way to have Chilchuk be good in combat. It's part of his job to run away when the fighting starts.
Yeah. Like they get into that when Marcel is a halfling. It's like if halflings try and fight, they get so disoriented by like their extra sensory stuff, and they're so small they just end up running into everyone's knees and everyone falling over each other.
Yeah.
And that's something that they had to learn. Like Chilchuk has most of Chilchuk's like insight is all stuff that he's learned the hard way. Yeah. Like that's how he's learned how to fear mimics and traps. That's how he knows how to be like careful with like relationships inside of a party, because he's had parties be fucking destroyed by love rivalries. That's why he's scared of multiple like monsters and fight scenarios. I like how he runs to the other halfling and covers him. Yes, it's a him.
We have more people coming in the chat.
Yes,
right. Almost.
So do we. Said I love Dungeon Meshi. Well, I guess not all of us. Jaws, go away.
Yeah. Soon enough.
Well, it's cool.
I mean, I still count Jaws' thing as a victory, because otherwise Jaws would have just dropped the show.
Yeah, he doesn't.
And just been like,
true. If I had hated it, I would have dropped it. I mean, I think it's decent.
I mean, Michi, me and you have sometimes we disagree sometimes, but me and you have an almost eerie ability to know when the other will like something. Jaws, we often like the same things, but it's not that consistent. There are things he loves that I don't like.
I find it hard to predict like what Jaws will like and dislike. Like if you had asked me like a few months ago, like between Dungeon Meshi and Oshino Ko, like which one Jaws would be really into and which one he wouldn't, I definitely would have gone the flip side.
I mean, like I would have assumed the same thing. Like if before watching either of them, I would probably also have thought that I would enjoy Dungeon Meshi more than Oshinoko. Right. But no.
But yeah, the whole like when I was reading Dungeon Meshi as being like, this is great, I was like, man, I have to convince Green somehow to like read this, because I was like, it's kind of tricky because it's hard to get people to engage with stuff they've already given a shot and had already kind of made their mind up about what it is.
Yeah, I just had to get
I could have
to
been
like
totally wrong too. I
episode
could have
7.
been just like, I had a feeling, but I could also have just been like kept showing it to Green and him just like bounced off it, and I was like, oh fine, I'll just make my peace that he'll never read the manga.
Yeah, I read the manga in like a day, basically. It's
I mean, I did too. Yeah,
pretty
like
good.
the day afterwards. Yeah.
Well, it's rare to have manga that is that short, like in those genres.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking forward to what we can do. Charles, remind me how familiar are you with Bokurano?
Oh God.
I've seen it once.
Oh, you watched the whole thing?
Yeah, I've seen the whole thing. I have not read the manga. I've only checked some chapters a long time back because I remember it being said that they like cut some stuff or changed some stuff. Yeah, but I did not read the manga.
Yeah, I had like the same idea as you, and then it turned out, more I researched, actually the manga is like, everyone agrees it's far superior in every single way and way better, and actually the anime is very, very different. Like I thought it was just minor changes, which it is in the first half, but then the second half is just completely different.
Yeah,
so it's definitely what I'm about to read. I'm gonna read the whole manga right now because like so many people say it's like one of their favorite things, especially the ending. People seem to say it's like one of the greatest endings ever, and I was like, well, I barely remembered anything about the second half of the show, and I realized it was because I had blocked it out from my memory because it's fucking awful.
Yeah, Jaws, it was actually kind of heartbreaking because we heard all this stuff secondhand. In my mind, I was like,
the anime is good. Yeah, in my mind, I was like, the anime is still like an 8 out of 10. Yeah, like I remember liking it when I was a teenager, and then I was like, why can't I remember the second half?
Yeah, we started watching it, and Michi brought this up, and we were looking at like Reddit comments as we were progressing through the show, where people kept talking about how fucking horrible the anime is, and it was confusing because we looked it up and we saw differences with the manga and anime, but there were places where I thought the anime was honestly better than the manga with how it handled some things, and it seemed like the spirit of the story was being kept the same, even if little details were being changed. Then there was just like episode 11 or something, where they introduced these new characters, and it just starts feeling awkward, and I said to Michi, this has strong like divergence from the source material energy. Like it feels like that scene from the first episode of like Game of Thrones season 5, where they're just like talking on the beach recapping the plot. And then that feeling got more and more and more. Then we looked into it a little more, and it's like, we learned that the author of the manga and the guy who made the anime like literally had a fight in public where one was saying that the other sucked, and the guy who made the anime was like, I don't like your story.
The manga.
Yeah. He actually even messaged the he like called the manga author saying like, hey, is there a way to change the story where all the kids live?
Yes, yeah.
Which he was like that's the core concept of the show.
Can I give happy endings to stuff? And the manga artist was just like tired and just like, fuck this, do whatever the fuck you want. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Okay, but we probably shouldn't get too into Bokurano.
Okay.
We'll all read the manga and then do a Bokurano.
I really want to read the manga, and I have a few of the volumes, and it's annoying me because like I bought these at like a secondhand shop like as a teenager, and I was like, and I didn't know the difference between the stuff, and I didn't read them, but I just had them, and then years and years later, I found out like I don't have the whole thing. Like it's 11 volumes. I have 1, 2, 3, and then 6 and 7. That's all the store had, and I got them all for like $20, like 5 volumes. Then once I posted my manga collection on Twitter once, and there's on my big shelf, and someone said, "Oh, you have that really rare volume of Bokurano," and I was like, "Huh?" And it turns out all the volumes of Bokurano are rare, but one especially, one of the ones I have, is worth like $250 just on its own. Yeah, and then if you want to get an entire collection of Bokurano, it costs like $700 like on eBay. So I'm like, I really wish I could collect the rest of them, but like even the ones I'm missing, even though I have the most expensive one, the ones I'm missing are still like 70, 80 each. Like I'm missing like 6 volumes, and I was like, but I was getting to that just to say like I'm definitely I'm gonna read it digitally, but I really wish I could have read it physically because they're really nice releases. Like it was released way after it came out in Japan by Viz in like 2010, 2011. But they're like there was a very small run, and they're highly sought after.
Well,
damn.
that's great. I feel like we should. I'm getting a little tired. If we have anything left to say about Dungeon Meshi, I feel like we should say it.
Only something.
Does anyone?
I have cool things to say about Dungeon Meshi, but I really don't want to spoil stuff. I'll tell them to you in another thing, probably not even on stream.
Yeah.
We can gush about all the stuff we like, or maybe John will. I mean, no pressure, Jaws, but maybe Jaws will catch up at some point.
Disappear into the wild.
Yes.
Sure.
Well, I don't know if I have anything else to say about Dungeon Meshi.
But everyone who watched the show season 1 and is like, man, I wish there was more. You could wait till season 2, but I highly recommend reading the manga. It's just as good, if not better. I think it's better.
I like, you know what? I like the anime better, I think, just because the production is so good. But the manga is still great. Like I would never cast aspersions on the manga. I almost feel like watch the anime and then just go back and see like the best manga panels, because the really good manga panels are great.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say but I'm gonna say if people are like, I want the Meshi, like it's not a bad idea to just find chapter 53 and continue from there. Like,
oh yes, just read the manga after you watch the show. It's all good. Yeah, this is great. Oh yeah, wait. I should just say, yeah, I wish Tade had a little more to do towards the end. That's
she has a disproportionate amount of fan art for like how much she shows up in the series.
Yes.
Well, Marcel has a shit ton of fan art, and she's in the whole thing.
That was also inevitable.
Yeah, that's true.
It was.
It was all inevitable. Yeah, I like how she's an idiot. I love when they're like, take her down without killing her. And she's like, and she throws her fucking club away.
Yeah. Nani.
She just gets fucking killed.
She says I in this translation.
I think she does seem to. She's always like, Tade is an idiot. Yay.
I mean, it kind of makes sense in Japanese that you often speak to people in use their names instead of addressing them as you and stuff like that. And sometimes they do it for themselves as well. So it kind of fits with the Eastern origin.
But you should say Orewa more.
Wait, Michi, this is a feel free to just not respond to this. But didn't we have like a point where we were like bickering over like what type of underwear people wore in Dungeon Meshi, and then we saw someone had totally like there had been a post about that, or am I imagining that? I think we had like an argument over like what characters wear fundoshi and which ones don't, and you were like, okay, shut up.
Is your brain imagining recontextualizing the actual author like doodles I sent you of all the characters in fundoshi?
That might be it.
Because the author drew pictures of all the characters in their underwear. I mean, you can probably Google it.
Okay. Well, okay. I don't want to wander into a situation.
It showed both female and male characters, most of which in some form of underwear. Yes.
Oh yeah, wait. I think I see this.
It shows like all of Shuro's gang all wearing like different forms of fundoshi. Shows Senshi's hairy chest.
Okay, this is the one I was. Wait. Okay, this is the one I was thinking
also
of.
Gets into detail.
Wait, this is this fan art or is this canon? Is this one of those ones?
I can't see.
Okay. You could watch the stream, motherfucker.
Okay, I could, but there's going to be a delay.
Okay, hold on. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, this is real. I see it.
Okay,
yeah,
this is what I was thinking of. Okay.
Oh wait, you're sending me something?
Well, it's the same image.
Yeah, that's real. Also, there's an extra one. I mean, you might want to open this one up. It's just of Marcel and Fallen too, which is cute.
Okay. Very cool. We figured it out.
Yeah, there was one of all the guys too, but I don't know how that's.
Yeah, it's fine. We see Senshi's underwear so much in the fucking show. Well, that's cool. I don't know if I have any other thoughts. I have other thoughts, I'm sure. I don't think I have any other thoughts relative to how tired I am, so.
Yeah, Green has no thoughts other than Dungeon Meshi in his head.
Yes, head
I
empty,
like-
Tade Fundoshi,
I like
we're
that
done.
image. I like that image in the bottom left, near the bottom left, where it says, "I believe in Senshi supremacy." It's just a
Yeah.
guy prostrating himself.
Everyone likes Senshi.
That's true.
Mhm.
I mean, there are several characters in here where like
He's
it's
so cool.
cheating because they're just characters with no flaws or like nothing that you wouldn't like. They're just cool.
That's true.
Like Senshi's the
Why
safe
was the
pick.
gnome guy so mean?
I hate
That's
that
the
guy.
real mystery. Yeah, why is he such a meanie head?
Yeah, gnomes. Do we really need them?
It's funny how he just uses the dwarf girl as a fucking meat shield.
Oh yeah, that came kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, because he's like, he's like, what's the problem? I can bring you back to life.
Yeah.
Imagine a character
the point,
using one of
asshole.
their comrades as a shield. What a horrible thing.
I don't know what you mean.
That's fine.
I'm also not sure what you're
If
referring to.
if I stay here for like 10 seconds, Michi will go, "Oh right, haha, very funny."
Yeah,
but,
right.
Okay.
Or maybe Green perceives reality at a different wavelength.
I do. I'm like the I'm like you know that mana sickness. I always suffer from that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you know that tall man who's in the manga? I'm kind of like him.
Yeah.
Green, this isn't spoilers, but I'm not gonna get into it. But what did you think of that section in the manga, which seems like a Monty Python reference?
Wait.
Or did that pass you by? Maybe it was only me.
I don't remember it.
The rabbits.
Oh, wait. Okay,
Doesn't that seem like the fucking?
Oh, like in Holy Grail?
It is the rabbits. Yeah.
Okay. That was
totally.
I didn't enjoy the rabbits that much. They were fine though. I did find it funny when Lias was like, "I want to see them dance." It's like, shut up, Lias.
Also, they explained like the quote unquote lore behind his like large neck guard, which is funny.
Yeah. I mean that is probably the most distinctive part of his design. You don't really see that.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's cool. Well, I think I'm gonna stop streaming. We can maybe talk for a bit, but I'm gonna end the stream. Any final thoughts?
Sounds good, hombre.
Stop streaming yourself.
Dungeon Meshi.
Well, goodbye, one person who's still here. Hope
the Dungeon Meshi was the Meshi we made along the way.
Hope someone got something out of this. See you, Space Meshi.
See you in space, Meshi. Yeah. You got to eat that weight.
Okay, now we're